One Piece: The Legend of Creation, Chapter 301-320. 301. You are still far away. This is. Munchie D. Dragon's face suddenly became extremely heavy. He still remembered the power of this strange and incomparable white fireball. It was this move that blocked most of Hades' attacks. And at the moment when the fireball appeared, the eyelids of D. Dragon kept beating, and he felt a chill in his heart, and even the hair on his body stood up. An unprecedented sense of crisis suddenly enveloped his body and mind. I hope you won't be so useless. Try the most profound meaning of burning fruit, Yang Yan. Lu Chengkong laughed, and with a light breath he pushed the white fireball out of his hands, neither too fast nor too slow. But it makes Munchie D. Dragon feel that he has nothing to hide and can't dodge. His shoulders seem to be pressed down by a huge mountain. Go! Munchie D. Dragon gritted his teeth. No matter what, he could only fight. He had a natural advantage in the field and environment, which made his frozen world power amazingly improved, but in his heart he felt there is not much confidence in whether his ultimate move can resist Yang Yan. Chi-chi. The sound of high-temperature boiling cold water sounded one after another, and the incomparably thick white mist continued to appear. Not only did the stalemate of the Revolutionary Army not appear, but the frozen world of D. Dragon, which had many advantages, was like ice block encountering fire. Except melting is melting. Going speed of the Yang Yan fireball did not slow down at all. It still maintained the unpleasant speed at the beginning, but all the ice thorns that came into contact with the Yang Yan fireball were all melted into water and evaporated directly. No, I will definitely die if I go on like this. Only when I really face him will I feel that he is terrifying. This guy's strength is even more terrifying than I imagined. Munchie D. Dragon's eyes flickered, and his face with strange lines looked even more hideous, but no matter what, he is the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and he can survive and develop to this point under the crushing of the world government. How could there not be a bit of pressure box trick? Tsunami, thunder penalty, heavy rain, strong wind, frost. Munchie D. Dragon roared, and various weather tricks kept appearing. It is strange that these weather disasters appeared in the same place. Not only did they not appear any, the conflict was actually perfectly blended together to form a field similar to the enchantment, which directly enveloped the Yang Yan fireball and blocked it. Boom! Originally it was invincible and unfavorable wherever it went. The Yang Yan fireball of the demon Kamusari divine departure seemed to have encountered an opponent, and it seemed to continue to move forward despite the blockade of the field composed of various weathers. But that speed is just a little faster than ants walking. Wow, I want more and more of this ability, to be able to control all the weather perfectly, and to combine all kinds of weathers that are extremely conflicting with each other to form a field of amazing power. Nami's eyes shone with intense light, just like Nami in the original book saw Barry's eyes, which shows how much Nami likes this weather fruit. Dragon, is this your ultimate trick to press the box? Lu Chengkong sneered at Isho, glanced at Munchie D. Dragon, whose face was getting paler and paler, as if he was using up too much. He is also about Munchie Dragon's trick very surprised. He knows how powerful his Yang Yan is. Although this unique trick similar to the weather field still cannot resist Yang Yan, it at least weakens the power of Yang Yan a lot, and Munchie D. Dragon also breaks free from the terrible oppression and lock of Yang Yan. It can be said that Munchie D. Dragon it escaped a disaster, but Munchie D. Dragon also consumes a lot of money, and it is still a question whether it can be used again. As expected of the captain of the Happy Pirates, I think you haven't been serious until now, at least you haven't used those kinds of strange transformations. Munchie D. Dragon gasped, as if he didn't have much combat power. But Lu Chengkong doesn't think so, at least his eyes are still bright, obviously he has not reached the limit. That's right. Even if I am the 5 Gorosei, 5 elders and I can kill them together with Hades, you are still far from it. Lu Chengkong didn't take care of Munchie D. Dragon's face at all, and directly acknowledged Munchie D. Dragon's words, with a kind of arrogance in his tone, but this kind of arrogance is not pretended and will not make people feel disgusted, nor can it be shown. Instead, it comes out naturally as the strength becomes stronger and stronger, and it is built on the strength. This kind of arrogance makes people take it for granted, at least Munchie D. Dragon thinks so. Hee, I don't think I'm invincible, but at least I can rank in the top 10, but now it seems that I'm really far behind. Munchie D. Dragon said bitterly. His eyes swept over everyone in the Happy Pirates. At least there are many people in this ship who are stronger than him, but after all, he is a person with a firm mind. It was unacceptable at first, unbelievable and finally completely accepted, and his tone soon changed amazingly. But even so, it's just wishful thinking for me to be captured by the D-Dragon. Even if I die, I will die. Munchie D-Dragon roared, and the surging and powerful conqueror Haki turned into waves of tsunamis and rushed towards Lu Chenkong, and the steel disappeared at the same time. The weather field appeared again. Not only that, but this time, the weather field obviously had a chilling atmosphere, and it was obvious that the D-Dragon was going all out. It's a talent. If it can be brought back under the banner, it's a good thug, but unfortunately it's impossible. Lu Chenkong sighed inwardly. Munchie D-Dragon is a talent, both in terms of strength and wisdom. He is in the forefront of the One Piece King of Pirates world. No one dares to underestimate him. It's a pity he will not surrender to anyone. Even if Lu Chenkong's strength far surpasses him, it is impossible. He is arrogant, and he has blood that is unwilling to be lonely. If you want him to live under people, it will be more painful than death. Munchie D-Dragon is very good. I think Salas doesn't hate you anymore. After all, you didn't participate in it, and you don't know it at all. As long as you don't die if you take my blow, and then you disband the Revolutionary Army, your grudge between you and me will be gone. How about a write-off? Lu Chenkong originally planned to keep Munchie D-Dragon and all the Revolutionary Army here forever, but just when he was about to kill, a voice of Salas floated in his ear. 302 Weather Field. Forget the past, let it pass. I don't want to kill someone who has nothing to do with that incident. I can see that he really doesn't know anything about Feishui Kingdom. Let him disband the Revolutionary Army. If you don't know the current affairs, then kill him here. It was Salas's words that made Lu Chenkong's murderous intention disappear. In fact, because of Garp, he didn't want to kill his only son here, but the Revolutionary Army must disappear forever. Otherwise Xiao Liz's heart will always be uncomfortable, and that's why Lu Chenkong just said that. Okay. Munchie D-Dragon, who had already been desperate, burst out with a strong vitality and hope. Although he was not afraid of dying in battle, the fact that he could not die did not mean that he hoped to die. As for the matter of disbanding the Revolutionary Army, why did he give up? It's actually really easy. Because he saw ambition in Lu Chenkong's eyes, and obviously he saw Lu Chenkong's idea of ruling the world. If he continued to build the Revolutionary Army, sooner or later they would have a battle, and he would still be dead at that time. After all, Lu Chenkong's strength was so powerful that it was as unfathomable as the ocean, and for the current Munchie D-Dragon, it was simply invincible. If he doesn't agree, he will die right now. In this case, he might as well be a good man. It is stupid to do it when he knows he can't do it. Although he is very reluctant to give up, it is still far worse than his life. The important thing is that these things are based on the fact that he can take Lu Chenkong's blow without dying. Weather field. Munchie D-Dragon no longer has any reservations, and even directly overdrawn his mind and body, forcibly raising the power of the weather field beyond what he can bear. Dragon's development of weather fruits can't be underestimated. Seeing his weather field is like coming to a small disaster island, facing all kinds of natural disasters, but his is a natural disaster. It's just a weather disaster. Listening to Portgas D. Dana's tone obviously told those present that he had been to Disaster Island, one of the 5 most mysterious and dangerous islands in the Great Waterway, otherwise she would not have said such a thing. Cuckoo, Sister Dana, if this fruit is used by Nami, I will definitely be stronger and more powerful than Dragon. No one knows more about weather than me. Nami stood proudly and became plump. Jade Girl Peak, the confidence in her tone told the people present that she was bragging, and the people present obviously did not refute. Obviously they all acquiesced to Nami's words. Nami's understanding of the weather and the technical ability of navigators are indeed unmatched. When in Kokoyashi village, Lu Chengkong will get precious books about navigators in the New World and Sky Island and give them to Nami. Sent it away, the current Nami is more powerful than the Nami's sailing skills 2 years later. But after hearing what you said, I want to go to Disaster Island as soon as possible to see the natural disasters there. How powerful the weather is. As a navigator, no matter how powerful the Disaster Island is, I will conquer it. When Nami said this, 2 rays of brilliance burst out in her eyes. At this moment, Nami seemed to be transformed into a goddess of the sea who wanted to conquer everything. A kind of imposing aura that did not let her men radiate quietly from her body. Come out. You will have a chance. At that time, my sister really wants to see how our little money fans conquer the island of disaster that makes countless pirates terrified. Portgas D. Dana looked confident and full of competitive spirit. Nami also came to join in the interest together, so that Nami's already raised head suddenly raised even higher. Obviously Dana flattered her. It's very comfortable, it's heartwarming to hear. It's at least 5 times stronger than before. It seems that Munchie D. Dragon is going to work hard, but the gap in strength cannot be made up by hard work. Time is suspended. A silver-gray light flashed in Lu Chengkong's eyes, a very obscure, mysterious time energy rippling out of the space like water ripples, and the time passed without exception stopped, as if time never ceased. Pass by again. The fruit of time. Portgas D. Dana's eyes flickered. If Lu Chengkong was most afraid of the devil transformation and the ability of the mirror fruit that belonged to this time fruit, in fact, it was not only Portgas D. Dana. Anyone who saw people who have passed the fruit of time, including Whitebeard, Gorosei, 5 elders and others, are extremely jealous of this fruit. The erosion of time is all-pervasive. It is really terrible. Even Angelina, a person with the ability of the fruit of nothingness, said that if she wants to face the person with the ability of the fruit of time, then the only way is to stay in nothingness for a long time, otherwise, even she can't resist the erosion of time. It's really frightening, but I remember clearly the terrible torrent of time before. Hawkeye Mahawk took Dana's words from Portgas D, and there was a flash of panic in his eyes. That's right, panic. This kind of emotion has not appeared for a long time, but after he saw Lu Chengkong's fruit of time and Angelina's fruit of nothingness there was still a hint of panic in his heart, as if he was born to fear the fruit of time and the fruit of nothingness. In fact, it was not. It was just that the power of the fruit of time and the fruit of nothingness was too terrifying. Yeah, if the torrent of time in the sky hits me, I may have returned to nothing. Rob Lucci, Kaku and others nodded in agreement. They have experienced life and death battles for many years, and their nerves have long been trained to be very tough. However, in the face of the fruit of time and the fruit of nothingness, my heart still trembled. This is it. Munchie D. Dragon's face changed greatly. Although he thought early in the morning that Lu Chengkong would use this ability sooner or later, he didn't expect that it would be so terrifying when he actually used it. No one knew better than him how powerful the weather field that came out was, but Lu Chengkong only spit out 4 cold syllables. Time seemed to be controlled by him, and his weather field completely stopped. Hee, this is just one of the abilities of my mirror fruit. In fact, whether it's a time fruit or any fruit ability, it's just based on my mirror fruit, and it's not time that really defies the sky. Fruit, but my mirrored fruit. 303. A girl is more cruel than a girl. Lu Chengkong Hee Isho, he is always very grateful for the mirror fruit he has obtained. It would be terrifying if this fruit fell into the hands of other people or that woman. As a mirror fruit, he is the most powerful person. I can clearly feel the horror of the mirror fruit. Every time he thinks of the scene of robbing the fruit on the dragon's boat when he was a child, he feels that the injury and hard work that time was really worth it. This fruit is so useful and powerful. With the improvement of his strength, this fruit his ability is getting more and more perverted. If nothing else, the strength of the mirror avatar of the main body alone has made all the capable people feel ashamed. Now Lu Chengkong's 3 mirror avatars of the main body are 90% of the owner's battle force. Any one released is beyond the existence of the 4 emperors. Not to mention that this ability alone can make Lu Chengkong and the 5 Gorosei, 5 elders compete, and they are not afraid of their siege. Cheng Kong just told Mengqi D Dragon that if he were to fight the Gorosei, 5 elders again, then he would be able to defeat all 5 of them and even kill 1 or 2 of them. I said, as long as you don't kill me in 1 hit, and if you disband the revolutionary army, it will be written off from then on. Then my attack will be your strongest attack. Take your strongest attack, go back in time, and the weather field will bounce back for me. Quote. Lu Chengkong shouted loudly, and under the interference of time energy, the weather field that had stopped in midair was affected by time retrospection and returned it at any time. The sky's rays of light and the sound of the explosion suddenly exploded. Under this kind of attack, the chance of surviving the almost overdrawn Mengqi D Dragon is very small. Okay, let's go. If he is dead, then we can only blame him for his inferior skills. If he is still alive, then there is no need for us to attack him. Without seeing any action from Lu Chengkong, he had already returned to the Xiaoyao. Superior. Chengkong, aren't you afraid of letting the tiger go back to the mountains? If she survives without disbanding the revolutionary army and hides it, it may be very dangerous. Rob Lucci and others who have lived in the dark justice since childhood follow the rules of cutting grass and not eradicating the roots. The spring breeze blows again. Hee hee, do you think I look like such an idiot? I know he's not dead yet, he's just seriously injured, and it will only take a few months to recover, but I've left something on her just now. I think not only me, Khalifa, Angelina and Hancock, you 3 also left something on him. Lu Chengkong cast a playful glance at Hancock's 3 daughters and said. Hee hee, I can't hide it from you. Yes, I put a bright imprint on him. As long as he has any changes, I can directly appear by his side and seal his fruit ability. Khalifa's words immediately made Rob Lucci and others realize now, they all secretly thought in their hearts that they really are husband and wife. Me too, seeing Khalifa's bright mark, I also made a void mark, and if he repents, I will turn his fruit ability into nothingness, and even turn his whole person into nothingness. Angelina smiled tenderly, but her Nanoman's wild and valuable smile was the smile of death in the eyes of Hawkeye and others. It was terrible. All these women are ruthless masters. Hancock, the 2 of them are Logia, and they are the fruit ability in the big Logia. It is normal to have this kind of close ability, so what did you leave on Dragon's body? Because Aunt Xiao was with Lu Chengkong, his lady's cigarette had been thrown away long ago. Her sudden question also made him curious about some beauties who didn't know Hancock's ability. Whether the fruit's power is strong or not depends only on her user. It is not only the top 10 Logia fruits that have this kind of imprint. With the movement of their minds, they can exert a powerful stunt, my sweet fruit. There are also, when the weather field returned to me just now, I secretly shot Vice Admiral into the weather field. At the moment when Dragon ate his own weather domain, the arrow of the captive had already hit him. As long as I wanted to, no matter if he fled to the ends of the earth, as long as the arrow of captive on his body has not disappeared, then he will only be petrified. Boa Hancock, Lu Mei, Vivi stood up, and a cold murderous aura quietly radiated out. Her words made Kaku and others almost scared away. It can be said that whether the sealing ability is good or it can be turned into nothingness, those are all one-time painless. But if it is petrified, with the development of Hancock, anyone who is concentrated by Hancock's daily outdated abilities will suffer an indescribable pain in the process of petrification. After completing the petrification and turning the other party into a stone sculpture, if Hancock does not relieve him, that person will enjoy this pain from the soul forever, and still can't move, can't escape, can only bear it, until his lifespan runs out and he dies. At the beginning, Kaku and Jabra didn't pay much attention to Hancock's ability when they heard Lu Chengkong talking about it. In their opinion, although they are not as powerful as Hawkeye, Hancock and other women, their life from childhood to adulthood has made them difficult. They can endure any kind of pain and have superhuman nerves, so they don't believe that there is pain that they can't bear. The end, it was precisely because of the expressions of the 2 people that Lu Chengkong asked Hancock to shoot each of them an arrow, and it was slowly petrified, not petrified in a second, allowing Kaku and Jabra to enjoy the pain and have a chance to speak at the same time. After that time, Hancock's deterrent power reached the peak of the entire Easy Pirates in one fell swoop. As long as Hancock's eyes and words can make these rebellious CP9s become the most obedient sheep, and even let them people who go to die, CP9 will not refuse, because in their eyes, death is much more beautiful than the pain of Hancock's sweet fruit. As expected of my good wife, she will really share the worries of my husband. It seems that my worries are completely unnecessary. I just leave a time imprint and a space imprint on Dragon, and either turn him directly into a dying old man, or directly convert his space to come in front of me and kill him, or exile him to a different space. Lu Chengkong looked at how everyone saw that the girls could still bear it, so he explained what effect he had left behind on his D-Dragon. Damn, what kind of couple are they? He's terrible. It's really sad that Dragon has provoked them. At this moment, except for Lu Chengkong, all the men present thought so in their hearts. 304 Revolutionary Army disbanded. In fact, it was just as Lu Chengkong had imagined. Mengqi D-Dragon did not die, but was only seriously injured. Mengqi D-Dragon, who escaped the catastrophe, defied public opinion and disregarded the resistance of the core members of the Revolutionary Army and directly announced a shock to the outside world. News of the whole Great Waterway. Hey, have you heard that the Revolutionary Army was disbanded, and the Revolutionary Army that once gave Marine a headache actually quit the stage? Cut, it's strange that there are gods. The existence of the Revolutionary Army is not only to overthrow the world government. Now the world government has been destroyed by Lu Chengkong, the captain of the Free and Easy Pirates. If they don't disband, then it's not a direct relationship with them. Has the shouting slogans of overthrowing the tyranny of the governments of the world clashed? There won't be any inside information, right? ... All kinds of remarks appeared in every island large and small that the Great Channel received the news of the dissolution of the Revolutionary Army, but these remarks spread to some people who knew the inside story and scoffed. Red-haired, it seems that I can't stand against the old man. The Revolutionary Army that has given Marine a headache for so long, that Garp's son, Dragon can only disband the Revolutionary Army when facing Lu Chengkong. It seems that he is already in the hands of Chengkong. It's a loss, otherwise it would never be like this. Yeah, this may be the back waves of the Yangtze River pushing the front waves. If we can't keep improving, the front waves can only die on the beach. The red hair said with deep feeling. On the other side, a relatively ordinary house in East Blue Windmill Village is filled with people who used to be all-powerful: Mengqi D. Garp, Marine Marshal Sengoku, Marine Admiral Kuzan, and Kizaru, who has the ability to fruit. Garp, what do you think the new era will be like? Now the era has changed. Although the era of the Great Pirate has passed, the city of pirates seems to be breaking down and rising. Marshal Sengoku seemed to be kind at this time. After the world government returned, he already had the heart to retire, and so did Garp, so they came to East Blue Windmill Village to live in seclusion. Choose, what's the matter with me? My life is much better now. I eat donuts every day. How comfortable my life is. Why do you think so much? I said. Sengoku, you are not a marshal, why do you think so much? Garp still as heartless as ever. Ace didn't die, so Garp didn't have the regrets in the original book. Stop pretending, Garp, I don't believe you don't know about the news of the dissolution of the Revolutionary Army. Kizaru smiled slyly, looking like a monkey. In fact, after leaving the Marine headquarters, he felt that the whole person was much more relaxed. Really, children and grandchildren have their own children and grandchildren. Since he chose this path, he has to pay for his choice. Isn't it good now? Lu Chengkong defeated Gorosei, 5 elders, and he was destined to establish a new government. There is a new system. If the Revolutionary Army does not disband the system, sooner or later there will be a conflict with Lu Chengkong, and it may be best to survive now. Quote. When Garp heard the words, his right hand holding the teacup trembled slightly. Although this movement was very small, the weakest players were admiral-level powerhouses. How could he not see it? But Garp was Garp after all, so his mentality really free and easy. Maybe you're right, its rise is really unstoppable. Garp seems to be your best choice. I left it at the beginning, and now my son is alive because of you. Ace can survive because of your part. Reason. Kuzan took a sip of tea and said softly. His words were approved by the people present, but Garp laughed proudly. In fact, he also felt that the best thing he did in his life was not to stay with Lu Chengkong. Rayleigh, who was teaching the Straw Hats, didn't say anything after receiving the interest, but only reported it to Isho. Rayleigh, the Hades, who no longer has to pretend to be Aunt Xiao's husband, is now very comfortable. Going out, you don't have to hand over the money you get back from the robbery. In his words, a man should live like this. Of course, he just dared to take these words to heart. It's all working hard for me. Now that the Easy Pirates have destroyed the Revolutionary Army, they will soon be heading to Laugh Tale. Luffy, if you still want to be One Piece King of Pirates, you have to do it, or others if you do One Piece King of Pirates and you can't even get into the New World, that's a shame. Rayleigh looked at the Straw Hats who couldn't stand it, and immediately added a fire. No one else said. At least Luffy and Zoro immediately regenerated their horsepower like a fueled car, and continued Rayleigh. Training for them. Husband, now that the Revolutionary Army has been resolved, we can build a brand new world government. Khalifa, who was dressed in a secretary outfit and exuded a capable atmosphere, looked at all kinds of information in his hands, browsed them all, and thought about it. After finishing it, he said, "Yes, the Revolutionary Army hidden on the side has also been eliminated. It's time to establish my hegemony." Enel informs you of the 9 teams built in the New World, and tells them that the plan to rule the Great Waterway can be implemented. Lu Chengkong watched Enel, who was sitting on the Ark Proverbs and eating an apple, gave an order. "I told you earlier, hey. It's really not fun, the game of hegemony ended so quickly." Enel sighed, and his words immediately made the smoker cough on the side. God, this guy actually ruled the Great Waterway. Build a New World as a game, it's really more popular than people. Indeed, the New World has basically been controlled by me, and Bigum has also promised to join us. As long as we establish our branches in East Blue, West Blue, South Blue, North Blue in the first half of the Great Waterway, we will dig up all these places, then find Whitebeard and Redhead, and the reign of the Great Fairway is complete. When Lu Chengkong said this, Maining Wen couldn't help showing a hint of selfishness. After all, whether it's the world government, the Revolutionary Army, or the 4 pirate emperors, ruling the Great Waterway is no less than ascending to the sky for them. But for Lu Chengkong, it was very simple, but it only took a little time to digest it. "What? Are you planning to retire?" Hawk-eyed Mihawk couldn't help asking, feeling a trace of vicissitudes in Lu Chengkong's tone. 305 Hancock helps me find women. Hee, retire. There is no such thing as retire in this world, but I feel that time flies by so fast. When you joined me, I was only one of the 4 emperors, and in the New World, I just sit with Whitebeard separately. Half the country, I didn't expect to realize my pursuit so quickly. Quote. Lu Chengkong knew that in this world, the so-called retirement was just because he couldn't bear the changes in the world, and the time wasted, and his strength couldn't keep up, so he had no choice but to withdraw from the stage. And Lu Chengkong knew that he was dancing on the tip of a knife. Since he took the road of a pirate, there was no chance to retire. Just like Whitebeard in the original book, he was strong when he was young, and he chose to die in battle in the end no matter how beautiful he was. For the strong, dying of old age is not as good as dying in battle, and Lu Chengkong has too many worries. Not to mention the woman beside him. Anyone who is released will be fascinated by the existence of all beings. There are too many people who want to attack them. To be safe, they must protect them except for their strong strength and iron-blooded means. There was no other way out, so Lu Chengkong knew that he had no way out, and he couldn't take a step back. He could only keep going and getting stronger. I feel the same way. I made a bet with the red hair before, and the red hair bet that you can't dominate the Great Waterway, but now it seems that my vision is more accurate. Eagle-eyed Mahawk heard the words, but also sighed for a while. Time flies so fast. The former teenager has now grown into a young man, and he is still the supreme demon emperor who sits on the country and shakes the great waterway. Okay, let's not talk about this. Within 2 years, we must digest all these territorial waters and become a member of the free and easy pirates. Lu Chengkong put aside these emotions and immediately issued an order. Marine Branch, which used to be so powerful in the Four Seas in the first half of the Great Channel, was completely wiped out. Every island and town was erected with the flag of the happy, and established a free and easy branch like the Marine Branch, and at the same time, all the talented people recruited over the years are placed in it to guard one side. The 2 years were neither long nor short. With the efforts of Lu Chengkong and others, they finally completed the digestion of all the forces that once controlled Marine. At the same time, the 2 years passed quietly and stopped. After sailing for 2 years, the new Happy is about to start its sailing journey again today. On an island called Xiaoyao Island in the New World, there is a palace that resembles the residence of an ancient Chinese emperor. There are all kinds of beautiful women living in it. This is Lu Chengkong's headquarters. Also his home. Chengkong, it's not like you. You haven't attacked the sisters in the boat for 2 years. You're not a change of nature, are you? Hancock, who was still wearing the aftertaste of the climax, was lying in Lu Chengkong's arms with a blushing face at the moment, and he drew circles on Lu Chengkong's chest with his jade finger, and at the same time did not forget to wear Pink's small mouth muttered. Do you want more women to share your husband with you? But since my little baby wants me to take action, I have to reluctantly take your sister's flowers into my pocket. Lu Chengkong patted Hancock's fat buttocks lightly. The amazing elasticity and the flesh-to-flesh touch were instantly transmitted to his brain through the palm of his hand. It was wonderful. Hancock's figure was really getting better and better, and it was enough before. Plump, asterisk, and now it's even more powerful. It's just beyond the Senju Tsunade in Hokage. HMPH, big pervert, in your words, it's typical to have a chastity memorial archway. When Hancock felt the strangeness coming from his buttocks, he suddenly lost a big white eye, making Lu Chengkong's desire that had just been extinguished. Rising up again. Don't. Go to Salas and the others, I can't bear your whipping anymore. You bad guy doesn't even know how to take pity on your concubine. Hancock, who was still wriggling and teasing Lu Chengkong in Lu Chengkong's arms, felt that the giant dragon that was still in his secret place raised its arrogant head again, and immediately scared her so much that she didn't dare to move anymore. Dare to lose her wink again. Although her combat power on the bed continued to improve as her strength and physical skills became stronger, she could only passively endure it in the face of Lu Chengkong. How is it possible? Hancock is my baby, how could I not pity you? Lu Chengkong immediately hugged Hancock in distress, and at the same time swept over the Khalifa girls who had long since passed out with charming smiles, and his heart suddenly rose. A burst of pride. After all, he has conquered so many women, and many of them are very perverted in combat power. He can fight with Lu Chengkong for 5 or 6 hours. Facing this group of women who can be said to be underfed, he not only conquered one, but fed them all. And he still has a strong combat power, even if there are more than a dozen more. He is very proud of his ability in this regard. The concubine knows that the officials pity me. Well, I know what you think. Go ahead. I really don't know what you eat to grow up. I also practice life return. You also practice life return. How can you be strong? It's strange that so many of our sisters can't stand you. Well, concubine is not a jealous person. Concubine knows that you are not satisfied, but you haven't mentioned it many times. Go to Salas and the others. I can't guarantee anything else, but Salas, Kuina and Shirahoshi, these 3 girls, I am very sorry that they have been captured by you for a long time. They are just reserved and embarrassed to say it. Don't make people wait for a long time. Hancock waved his hand to signal Lu Chengkong to hurry up. Where can I find such a wife? No wonder she and Khalifa have always held the most important and largest position in Lu Chengkong's heart. No matter how broad-minded a woman is, it is impossible to take the initiative to help her man find a woman. Lu Chengkong also knew it. so he always responded to Khalifa and Hancock's needs and loved them extremely. If they are unhappy or even just frowning, Lu Chengkong definitely doesn't mind turning into a killing god and removing all the things that make his women unhappy. He also knew that Hancock did not deliberately pose for himself, but sincerely hoped that he would be satisfied and not hold back, so he also stood up and looked at Hancock with eyes full of love and tenderness, bowing his head in her delicate red. He kissed softly on his lips, and Lu Chengkong turned around and walked out after Hancock closed his eyes and fell asleep with a sweet smile on his face. 306 Wet Kiss with Shirahoshi. What Lu Chengkong didn't know was that just after he left, Hancock's closed eyes quietly opened, looking at Lu Chengkong's back. Her beautiful eyes couldn't help but glow, but then she closed her eyes again. She really fell asleep once. After all, as the last person to bear Lu Chengkong's whipping, she also consumed a lot of energy. Although as long as she wants to eat some foods with high nutritional value made of sea kings and use life return to digest and absorb it instantly, it will take a few minutes to recover her energy. If Portgas D. Dana directly uses life energy and ends up returning life, it can instantly restore energy. After all, Hancock's cultivation level of life return is no less than that of Hancock, Khalifa and Angelina. The four of them are all people who have practiced life return to the point where they can even control their brains perfectly. It's just that he was influenced by Lu Chengkong. If there's nothing wrong, it's better to let the body recover naturally. After all, it's best to relax and relax. Not to mention Bia Hancock, who had already fallen asleep, but Lu Chengkong, who had slipped out, came to the door of Portgas D. Dana's disciple Salas like a thief, and pricked up his ears, apparently eavesdropping inside. Condition. With Lu Chengkong's current strength, plus the return of life, he can perfectly control his entire body, except for his genes, and even his brain. If he wants to hide his breath and body shape, there is no way to discover his existence, so even if Sally in the room, I have the power of the quasi-four emperors and I am completely unaware of the changes outside the door. Sister Salas, isn't Shirahoshi not pretty? Shirahoshi's voice suddenly came from inside, but the owner of the voice was obviously very depressed and a little unhappy, which made Lu Chengkong outside the door couldn't bear it. Live for a while. How could that be? Sister Shirahoshi's beauty is one of the best in the boat, and only Hancock can outperform you. Salas was stunned for a moment, but in an instant she understood why Shirahoshi was like this. In fact, in terms of aptitude, figure, appearance, and temperament, both Bia Hancock and Shirahoshi have their own characteristics, and they are evenly matched and equal. But Hancock has gone through Lu Chengkong's cultivation and sowing, and the things he has experienced are far from what Shirahoshi can match. Naturally, Hancock has a mature and charming charm, which Shirahoshi has never had, and that's exactly what Hancock is. It is equivalent to a ripe red apple, while Shirahoshi is a green apple, so Hancock, who has a mature charm and a charming temperament in every move, is indeed better than the current Shirahoshi. Then why it's been 2 years, since Shirahoshi isn't unattractive, why didn't Your Excellency Chengkong not touch Shirahoshi for 2 years? Could it be that Shirahoshi has a bad temper? Or he doesn't know Shirahoshi's mind? Woohoo, doesn't he like it? Shirahoshi. Speaking of this, Shirahoshi couldn't help sobbing slightly. Obviously he was already crying, and he immediately made Salas and Hina in a mess. It is the angry Lu Chengkong, the second is the sweet fruit of Hancock, and finally the crying Shirahoshi, any of which is extremely lethal to his own people and to the enemy. It's time for me to take action. Lu Chengkong, who was outside the door, heard this and knew that the opportunity was coming. In order to succeed in picking up girls, Lu Chengkong actually used ability fusion to summon Luke's mirror image and fused it to gain his space. The ability of the fruit, and then a teleportation silently appeared behind Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi's body can only be held by the Lord of the Sky, no one can. You are the Lord of the Sky, why are you here? Shamed to death. Shirahoshi, who was crying, suddenly felt that she was being hugged. Unlike Hina and Salas who were beside her, the hands that were holding her were obviously bigger than theirs, causing her to scream immediately, even conditioned reflexively. She wanted to use her Sea King's ability, but just as she was about to summon the Sea King class, the breath that fascinated Shirahoshi, intoxicated and filled with a sense of security, immediately hit her nostrils, making her whole body quiet. Even her jade body and her mermaid tail, which had been struggling, stopped, and her pretty face, which was a little pale from crying, immediately flew to blushes, looking pitiful, which made Shirahoshi's charm even greater. It also made her so embarrassed that she almost couldn't help finding a hole to dig in. If Lu Chengkong hadn't hugged her tightly, she might have just slipped away. Although Shirahoshi was naive, it didn't mean she was stupid. At this moment, she already fully understood that what she said just now was completely heard by Lu Chengkong, and being hugged by Lu Chengkong like this, how could she not be shy? Even with her eyes closed, she could confuse Salas, and Hina is looking at herself with strange eyes. What's the matter? My little Shirahoshi doesn't seem to be a crybaby anymore, but when he grows up, he actually thinks about spring. Lu Chengkong looked down at Shirahoshi's pretty face, and couldn't help but laugh. People don't like to cry. Woo. Shirahoshi, who was about to refute, was not even able to say a word, but Lu Chengkong seized the opportunity and kissed it, and at the same time, his tongue went directly into Shirahoshi's small mouth. Began a frantic siege, while plundering the fragrance in Shirahoshi's mouth, while possessing the little sweet tongue that may have been turned white due to Lu Chengkong's surprise attack. Your Excellency Chengkong kissed me. He kissed me. He really deserves Shirahoshi's liking. So does it mean that Your Excellency Chengkong also likes Shirahoshi? Is this the illusion of kissing? No wonder Sister Khalifa and the others like to kiss with Your Excellency Chengkong so much. It's so comfortable. I am ashamed. Shirahoshi, don't think about it. After a while, Shirahoshi finally came back to his senses. She put aside her timidity when she faced Lu Chengkong before, and summoned all her courage to respond awkwardly to Lu Chengkong. Is this really Shirahoshi? She's so bold. Looking at the two of them who were kissing each other indifferently, Salas and Hina on one side looked at each other and exchanged glances, and found that the other party wanted to. They were exactly the same, and they understood each other's thoughts. Obviously, neither of them thought that Shirahoshi, who had always been timid and had a sensitive personality, was so bold at this moment. 307 Shirahoshi, Salas, Hina. This is of course Shirahoshi, but what Salas and Hina don't know is that Shirahoshi is not shy or timid, but the smart Shirahoshi knows that this is an opportunity and unintentionally interferes. Since everyone has heard the truth, and since they are already embarrassed, they are not afraid of being embarrassed, so Shirahoshi has gone out of his way this time. Based on the idea of not being successful, Shirahoshi has successfully obtained himself for 2 years, all the time. Wanted love. It's not good for the two of you to be spectators here. Why don't you join us together? Just as Salas and Hina stared at Shirahoshi, they completely forgot. Lu Chengkong, who was on the side, didn't just have Shirahoshi's idea today. When he learned that there were still Salas and Hina in the room, Lu Chengkong had already made up his mind in his heart that he must come today. No, the two women finally came to their senses when they heard the words. They also recalled that the man in front of him was not a modest gentleman, nor was he Lu Shahui, who was not in a hurry. The girl was about to escape, and when Salas was about to use the speed fruit to increase her speed to the fastest, they suddenly found themselves unable to move. You guys are stupid again. I came here when I was fully prepared. How could only Shirahoshi be able to withstand my whipping? I don't want my little baby to get hurt. Although the first time is inevitable, today I will definitely. You have to have fun. The three of you can barely do it together. Lu Chengkong's eyes seemed to be burning with flames that were hotter than Yang Yan, shooting at Salas and Hina. Just when the two women were about to escape, Lu Chengkong had already used the time pause, and the difference in strength increased. The sky-defying ability of the Fruit of Time is not something that Salas and Hina can crack, so the two women can only fall into Lu Chengkong's claws with a smug expression on their faces. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, he clicked his fingers, and the time that had been suspended began to pass again, and the two women also recovered, but this time the two women who regained their ability to move did not struggle to the death this time. In addition, the two women did not have much resistance to handing over themselves to Lu Chengkong, especially Salas. After the incident with the Revolutionary Army, she put down the last burden in her heart. Pressure, and even the strange feelings that have been pressing deep in my heart are no longer contradictory, and I unknowingly ask that this strange feeling has taken root and grown into a towering tree. The resistance and escape just now were only due to women's restraint and shyness. Of course, the biggest reason was that he was with other women for the first time. How could he not make these chicks shy? Now with Lu Chengkong's blocking, the two women seem to have found an excuse. After all, women's minds are weird, especially after falling in love. Their IQ may be infinitely close to zero, but the weirdness is even worse. HMPH, big pervert, I already knew that you would be uneasy and kind, but I just think you can bear it so much, and you haven't had a bad taste in 2 years. The nature that Salas had been suppressing after taking revenge and hatred was finally revealed. As a beautiful woman in the mood for love, no matter how mature, no matter how rational and calm she is, she still has her lively side. Well camouflaged. Not anymore. Accompanied by Lu Chengkong and others, she has also completely stepped out of the shadows of the past and regained her true nature. She is no longer taciturn, but like her teacher Portgas Dana, who likes to tease people very much. Of course, Poisonous Tongue is the same. Sharp. Ha ha. Lu Chengkong was embarrassed by Isho, looking at Salas who was staring at him with a strange look on his hips. Lu Chengkong was a little ashamed. In fact, it wasn't that he didn't want to steal the fish in the past 2 years, but it is really too busy, and it is not an ordinary amount of work to digest the first half of the Great Waterway and the New World that belongs to its own domain and the 4 seas. Fortunately, many of the boats are speed-type powerhouses. Khalifa, Enel, Salas, etc. are terrifyingly fast if they sprint with all their strength, and they can shuttle in various places in the Great Waterway. Otherwise, it may take many years to sail on the New Happy. Take care of all these territories. Just yesterday, Lu Chengkong set up the Xiaoyao branch on every island where the marine branch used to be. Even the people who stayed behind have been selected. It can be said that at this moment, the world government is like the Revolutionary Army, completely leaving the stage of the Great Fairway. But what makes Lu Chengkong uneasy is that the Gorosei, 5 elders seem to have disappeared. Not only have they not appeared in the past 2 years, but they have not even found any news about them. But no matter what, the business is over now, and it's time to rest, so he immediately started his plan to tear down as soon as he was free. Originally, he was still having a headache. He was pleasantly surprised that there were actually 3 beauties in Salas's room, which saved a lot of trouble for our satyr brother Lu Chengkong. Hina knows, it must be because he is too busy and has no time or opportunity. Hina said excitedly, with an expression that I saw through you, which made Lu Chengkong a little embarrassed, but at this time of course men should be more proactive. Thick skin is a must, so Lu Chengkong completely ignored Hina's eyes, immediately turned into a big pervert, hugged Hina who had revealed his true face in his arms, and sat a beautiful woman on his left and right thighs. Big satyr. Salas didn't notice a sour taste in her tone at all. Obviously, this princess who has never been in love doesn't know what jealousy is at all. Yo, our little princess is jealous, but you're right, I'm a big pervert. Lu Chengkong looked at Salas with the expression of discovering the new world, and his tone was full of surprise, which made Salas' pretty face suddenly turned red. Who is jealous? What is there for me to be jealous of? Salas was a little flustered. It was strange that she would not panic even if she faced a powerhouse that was much stronger than her, even in the face of death, but I don't know why facing Lu Chengkong's scorching eyes that seemed to be swallowed up and melted in her stomach, she could no longer maintain Ji Yujing's unwavering mentality, but in the end she forced herself to remain calm and retorted with a pretentious force, it was just that her eyes betrayed her heart. 308 Eat Salas. Of course there are many things that you should be jealous of. Lu Chengkong didn't bother about this topic. After all, talking to a woman is a surefire way to lose, especially Salas, who used to be a princess of a country. After all, people who have played politics have a very sharp mouth, but Salaz is useless. As soon as these words came out, Lu Chengkong no longer gave Salaz a chance to refute. A silver light flashed in her eyes. Salaz only felt a blur in front of her eyes. When she came back to her senses, she realized that she had stayed in Lu Chengkong's place. In his arms, a small mouth suddenly opened, and when he was about to say something, Lu Chengkong's big mouth directly stuck to Salaz's cherry mouth at an impressive speed, so that Salaz could only make a whimper. Don't. It's so itchy. Just as Lu Chengkong was kissing Salaz forcibly, Hina and Shirahoshi, who were sitting on his thighs, suddenly cried softly. Looking around, it turned out that Lu Chengkong was beside him. Kissing Salaz, exploring with both hands on the wonderful jade bodies of Hina and Shirahoshi. I feel two different, but both are wonderful touches. Shirahoshi's personality is simple and sensitive, but her heart and expression are usually like a teenage girl, but her body is very plump. In this alone, she can beat the plumpness and beauty of her body on the new Happy No. Now Shirahoshi is only Khalifa, Boa Hancock and Portgas D. Dana 3 daughters. This is because Shirahoshi is still growing and has been nourished by the rain and dew. I believe that after tonight, it may not take long for the new Xiaoyao to beat her in body measurements after tonight. There is only one girl left, Boa Hancock, which is also recognized by the women. After all, only Hancock can compete with Shirahoshi in terms of pure beauty. As the two women kept twisting their bodies in Lu Chengkong's arms, they were inadvertently rubbing against Lu Chengkong's body, making Lu Chengkong's lust burning in his lower abdomen seem to have obtained the best trigger, and it burned brightly. The movements of both hands were even faster, and Vivi's strength increased a little. However, Shirahoshi and Hina, who gradually became lustful with Lu Chengkong's beating, didn't feel the slightest pain at all. Crispy and sour. Well, don't be so hard, it's strange, how can your hand be so hot, Your Excellency Chengkong, I don't usually feel like this when I touch it, ah. Shirahoshi couldn't help but screamed. Obviously, Shirahoshi is not sensitive. Her body is also sensitive to the man she loves. In this respect, Khalifa and Hancock are comparable to her. The youth mermaid who had never been exposed to this aspect had a small orgasm. Too bad, Shirahoshi is a mermaid, not a human being. What should I do? Forget it, since Shirahoshi is ready to devote himself, she must have a way. She looks like Hina and Salaz. Yes, she is embarrassed, but thinking about it, Shirahoshi is a mermaid, and she is more shy. After all, this is love that crosses races. Lu Chengkong lowered his head and glanced at Shirahoshi, and found that her eyes were hazy, watery and about to drip out of water, and she shook her body, but after a closer look, she could still find a thick shyness in her beautiful eyes and a hint of shyness. Hesitate. Understanding Shirahoshi's complicated thoughts, Lu Chengkong first put Shirahoshi on the bed, and then moved the target of the attack. He thought that he planned to eat the two girls so that they could sleep before slowly discussing this issue with Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi clearly understood Lu Chengkong's thoughts when he saw Lu Chengkong's actions. His eyes became more gentle when he looked at Lu Chengkong, and a deep inseparable love was conveyed to Lu Chengkong's heart. But at this time, Lu Chengkong also acts sometimes, and she has to think about other things. After all, he is also difficult to ride a tiger. In the jumping action just now, he deeply realized what is called the effect of force, and it is mutual. But the effect of force is really mutual, and he found that his desire has climbed to the top as he caressed the jade body of Shirahoshi's three girls, and it may explode if he doesn't get a vent. So without saying a word, he took off all the clothes of Salaz and Tina, who were also watery, peach blush, and full of love, and looked at the two bodies in front of them, each with their own characteristics but full of temptation. After 0.01 seconds of consideration, she finally decided to target Salaz. After all, he and Salaz have been together for the longest time. Come on, I'm so itchy, hurry up, hurry up. The situation on Salaz's side is not much better. Under the touch of a master like Lu Chengkong, her final restraint and the arrogance of the princess have long been throwing it out of the sky. Like a shameless slut, she is courting the man she loves. Come now. Lu Chengkong couldn't bear it any longer when he heard the words, and immediately transformed into a satyr and held a giant dragon like a red-hot iron rod, piercing directly into Salaz's peach blossom land. Ah, it hurts, you slaying 1,000 knives, how can it be so painful? Don't be so hard. Salaz, who was still hungry just now, screamed in agony, and a trace of bright red blood followed her scream. Flowed onto the white sheets, forming a poignant and beautiful plum blossom. Although Salaz screamed very loudly and seemed to be really in pain, her expression and movements were very strange. Even though she was in pain, the expression on her face told people that she couldn't stop at this time, and her beautiful legs were even tighter. He was holding Lu Chengkong's waist, as if he was afraid that he would disappear if he let go. Sooner or later, you will have to suffer like this. Long pain is better than short pain. It will soon be a service, and I am so big. This is not to prove that you have a good vision and a lot of money. Otherwise, how can you conquer your group of beauties? Lu Chengkong's words have played a role, and it may also be that with the passage of time, Salaz, who has practiced physical skills, has a body that is different from ordinary people and is very powerful. Even if Lu Chengkong's capital is very high, she still adapts very quickly. Now, without even being able to learn from a teacher, he twisted his waist and cocked Lu Chengkong's giant dragon up and down. Feeling Salaz's movements, and seeing the desire in her eyes and being shy, Lu Chengkong knew that Salaz had basically gotten used to it, so he was also suppressing the desire in his body, and immediately activated his electric gadget. The motor, as if it had infinite stamina, bombarded Salaz with no movement, and the panting in the room and Salaz's moans quickly formed a beautiful piece of music. 309 Mermaid's Special First Time. When a moan full of pleasure and comfort sounded, it didn't take long for a scream that was completely opposite to the previous moan, and the owner of this voice was just right. She was a member of the former marine beauty Tina. It turned out that after Lu Chengkong had been running on Salaz's beautiful body for 3 hours, even if Salaz's constitution was strong, it was the first time he had broken his body, and he was facing Lu Chengkong, whose fighting strength and capital were terrifying. So 3 hours is her limit. And this time there were 2 little girls around, so Salaz didn't force herself to cater to Lu Chengkong's bombardment, but let out a pleasing cry, as if to tell Tina and Shirahoshi around her that they knew about this kind of thing. It was so comfortable, even if it was a drowsy sleep. As Tina's screams just sounded, Shirahoshi on the side watched the live erotic palace for so long. No matter how shy he was, he fell into a spring love. The water in his eyes was rippling, making her charm climb steadily, and finally Shirahoshi was on the road. The shy and timid mermaid couldn't help but twisted her tail and came behind Lu Chengkong. Wrapping the slender and beautiful fish tail around Lu Chengkong's waist, and at the same time pushing his pair of huge steamed buns against Lu Chengkong's back, Lu Chengkong could feel the wonderful excitement from Shirahoshi very clearly. It's a pity that Lu Chengkong is not a lecherous beast after all. Even if his fighting power is strong, it is impossible to grow another giant dragon, so he can only temporarily replace the giant dragon with his hands and mouth, and comfort this lustful body, a mermaid with a swaying heart. Well, it's so itchy, but it's uncomfortable, hurry up. Shirahoshi and Tina actually made the same coquettish cry as if they had a good heart. They heard Lu Chengkong's desire. The sound of moans can make a normal man disarm. An hour later, Tina couldn't hold back the numbness that came from her lower body. She let out a high and contented cry and fell asleep. Obviously, her physical quality was far inferior to Salaz's, even if she was the first times, but the gap is still huge. Fortunately, my brother has a lot of money, otherwise, just any woman will kill a man. Lu Chengkong settled the two, which seemed to be the first time, but the performance was not comparable to that of a chick. Beauty's heart couldn't help but let out a sigh. The people in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, are really strong. Lord Chengkong, don't stop. Shirahoshi is itchy, hurry up. Shirahoshi, who was enjoying this indescribable feeling, suddenly found that this wonderful feeling disappeared, replaced by a deep feeling the bone marrow was itchy and empty, causing Shirahoshi, the little girl without a teacher, to scream. Okay, okay, let's satisfy my little Shirahoshi now, but I don't know how. Lu Chenggong was a little embarrassed when he said this, because Shirahoshi is not a human leg at all, but a fish tail, which he also knew just now. Shirahoshi's fish tail is very sensitive when he is emotional, so he is just stroking Shirahoshi's fish tail, but he doesn't know where the real Taoyuan secret is. Poochie. Shirahoshi was stunned when she heard the words, but now her head finally came back to her senses, so she couldn't help laughing, but even her face was flushed. But at this time she was also on the line, she had to post it, so she resisted the shyness in her heart and sat directly on Lu Chenggong's legs. A pair of plump and upturned jade girl peaks directly surrounded Lu Chenggong's face. Don't look. Don't bite, it hurts. Shirahoshi called out tenderly. The plump top of his chest came out, and Shirahoshi felt numb from the pink grapes. She said so, but she did not stop Lu Chenggong's movements. Instead she twisted her fish tail and directly slammed Lu Chenggong's waist down, completely wrapping the backbone above the thighs. Your Excellency Chenggong, this is the first time for the mermaid clan, and it can only be done in the state of a mermaid. After saying that, Shirahoshi seemed to be no longer shy and actually took the initiative to kiss Lu Chenggong's mouth, followed by Lu Chenggong's little brother, Xiao Chenggong. Suddenly entering a very cold but very warm place, a wonderful feeling that I have never had before, suddenly spreads all over my body like an electric current. The taste of Shirahoshi's peach blossom land and Khalifa are completely two extremes, but there is one thing. The same is the same comfort, cool, even a perverted powerhouse like Lu Chenggong has an urge to disarm. There were two different calls, one was Shirahoshi's scream with contentment, and the other was Lu Chenggong's unbearable pleasure that he couldn't bear. The feeling of the second fusion made Lu Chenggong unable to stop, but just when Lu Chenggong was about to turn over and press Shirahoshi down to be his master, Shirahoshi actually reached out and grabbed Lu Chenggong's hands. His watery eyes full of spring affection stared at Lu Chenggong and said, Your Excellency Chenggong, no, I heard Sister Hancock say that when she calls you, she likes to use a name that others have never used. Shirahoshi likes that too, Mr. Shirahoshi. It's the first time for Shirahoshi to come by himself. I want to make you feel to a different taste from Sister Khalifa. Quote. Saying that, Shirahoshi's fish tail wrapped around Lu Chenggong's body tightened even more, and his strength was even stronger. At the same time, Lu Chenggong only felt a coldness and warmth as if returning to his mother's arms. A very contradictory feeling came from his lower body. Lu Chenggong's giant dragon is more compact, as if he was draining Lu Chenggong. The face of such Shirahoshi, what else can Lu Chenggong, who loves him so much, do? And Shirahoshi is right, the taste of sports that Shirahoshi does is really different from Khalifa and the others. Shirahoshi's peach blossom is actually full of coldness and warmth. The two feelings are like the 9 heavens of ice and fire. The two extreme feelings are actually perfectly soft together. It can be said that this time not only is Shirahoshi wanting to die, but even if Lu Chenggong is an ancient emperor, he may not be able to guarantee that he will become Li Kuaiji and never go to the morning court. Maybe because of taking care of Shirahoshi and wanting her to have a perfect first time, or it may be out of doting on her, or it may be because of the first contact with a fresh way of sex, and Shirahoshi's affection has been lingering for almost 2 years. Hours later, with a scream from Shirahoshi, the two of them reached a perfect climax at the same time, and the battle that lasted for almost half a day finally came to an end. 310 Dana's care. The moon sets and the sun rises, and the bright morning sun shines on Lu Chenggong and the 3 girls in his arms, as if covering them with a warm and weightless quilt. Is it the next day? I've been busy with all my work, but I didn't expect to find an unexpected news. Now is the time to deal with it. Dana, I think you should have waited for nothing. If you succeed, will you be grateful for not hugging me? Lu Chenggong got up quickly, took a shower under the services of the 3 women who walked strangely, then put on his clothes and walked out, eating Portgas D's breakfast specially made according to his own hobbies, thinking to himself. Dana, how sure are you about what you told me before? Lu Chenggong said to Portgas Dana, who was drinking fresh milk. 70%. At that time, I nourished her body with the energy of the fruit of life early in the morning, so it didn't rot. If the body rots, the soul will be separated from the body at most 50%. Portgas D. Dana said. Her body was imperceptible. Trembling a bit, for the first time, his tone was not as smooth and calm as before, but a little excited. As Khalifa added, Lu Chengkong secretly laughed. He didn't expect that when Dana was also excited, she could no longer maintain her usual loneliness like snow and elegant temperament, but her noble and sexy temperament it hasn't disappeared, but she is still the same beauty and indescribable. She is simply a natural sexy goddess, but at this time she looks more like a person instead of 10 goddesses. Yes, only Khalifa's return from the dead and my dead Sushung can bring a dead person back to life. Portgas D. Dana's words immediately brought some unknowing beauties around him, such as Nami, Kaya, Vivi and Hachi. The mother-in-law was attracted. Sister Dana, what are you and your husband talking about? What is resurrection? Vivi asked. At this moment, she could no longer see the temperament of a royal princess in her body. Instead, she was amiable and approachable. Dana, tell it yourself. Lu Chengkong knew that it was time to tell what Portgas D. Dana had been hiding, otherwise everyone would feel uncomfortable. Since everyone wants to know, then I will say it. It was not the time before, but there is nothing to keep secret now. Portgas D. Dana and Isho said directly, you guys have a look at this reward order for yourself. Sure enough, it's hard to change the nature of the country. Portgas D. Dana is still Portgas D. Dana. Even if it is a secret, it still likes to be guessed by people. Dana's secret. Portgas D. Ace. Vivi, Kaya, Nami, Nojiko, Margaret and other female generals stretched out their small heads and looked at the name of the owner of the reward order in front of him, or Margaret who was trained to become the next generation of the Queen of Nine Snake Island. Greta responded the fastest. Isn't Sister Dana's name Portgas D. Dana? A word to wake up the dreamer. At first, everyone felt that there was a fog in the clouds, but they always felt that something was wrong, but there was a mysterious veil covering it. If you don't pay attention to these details, no one will really find out. After all, One Piece King of Pirates, there are not a few people with the same last name or the same name, or even the same name. Yeah, it's really the same. Sister Dana, isn't Ace your son? Nami, who was open-mouthed, was the first to call out. Little Nami, please don't talk nonsense. Your sister Dana is a big girl. I don't know why Portgas D., who was indifferent to everything before, didn't care about anything. He even glanced at Lu Chengkong, who was sitting on the side eating the breakfast he made, and quickly denied that, maybe because he didn't want Nami to say something earth-shattering. Portgas D. Dana didn't hide it anymore and explained it directly. I have a good sister, but I have an irresponsible brother-in-law. They are Portgas D. Rouge and Gal D. Roger. The two of them had a child, and that is Portgas D. Ace. Do you understand what I said? No, is Ace your nephew? Vivi's three girls exclaimed at the same time. Yes, as you all know, my stubborn sister paid the price with her life to give birth to Ace, a worry-free son, but it's a pity that he didn't cherish his own life at all, so I don't like him, because he didn't really think that he could live not only for himself, but also for Rouge, who gave his life to give birth to him, so he must not die, and he must not let go of anything to become stronger. It's a pity that he didn't cherish these. I have been looking for a way to revive Rouge for so many years, but unfortunately, although I got the fruit of life because of a great opportunity, the fruit of life alone can at most revive her body, her soul, and spirit. Wait, I can't revive her at all, and I can't combine body and soul. Portgas D. Dana finished and turned her hopeful eyes to Khalifa to one side. It turns out that, I'm surprised that when the Marine headquarters asked you to kill us, you didn't kill us, and you made a lot of strange excuses. It turned out that you were testing our strength. It should be said that you were testing me. Strength, see if we can continue to become stronger and meet the requirements in your mind. And in the end, you were worried that the Marine headquarters would not give up, so you made an excuse to stay strong, and at that time I wondered why you could take special care of me, and even as long as you could make me stronger, you would try your best, so it turns out it's because I ate the fruit of light. It's your only hope, so you absolutely can't let me die, right? Khalifa said suddenly, and finally understood the real reason why Portgas D. Dana had to join her pirate team. As Khalifa's words just finished speaking, those who knew about this matter, whether it was Hawkeye or CF9, or the unknowing girls present, all looked at Portgas D with admiration, especially when they saw it in person. I've seen Portgas D. Dana, in order to join the Happy Pirates, even being reserved as a woman, being arrogant as a strong man, and having lost all her face, she has to join the pirates, and she did so many things to revive herself. My sister, once this idea grows, the younger Nami and other girls all shed a few tears. 311-311 Resurrection Portgas D. Rouge. Okay, don't cry anymore, I am not dead, and it's not that my sister has no chance to be resurrected, isn't she going now? She didn't care about anything, but this time facing the tears and eyes of the girls, she turned her head a little bit uncontrollably. Yeah, Khalifa's sister, you must resurrect Rouge sister. Vivi, Nami, came over and looked at Khalifa with hopeful eyes around Khalifa, hoping to hear a good spit out of her mouth. Not only that, but this time, even Nicole Robin, who was the most calm and rarely expressed her opinion, said the same thing. Looking at her flickering eyes, she was obviously thinking of something. Don't worry, Robin, if it works. Then I think Dana and Khalifa will help you revive your mother. Lu Chengkong suddenly said. How could Nico Robin's eyes hide from Lu Chengkong's perception, and he understood Nico Robin's eyes in an instant, so he said comfortably. Well, thank you. Nicole Robin nodded and glanced at Lu Chengkong with tender and moving eyes. Obviously, she did not expect Lu Chengkong to have so many women, yet she could still notice the changes in her mood and even herself. He knew it as soon as he had the idea. Obviously Lu Chengkong's performance told the girls that he didn't just want the girls' bodies, but really loved them and cared about them, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to react so quickly, and he was so emotional. Will not let Nicole Robin move. After all, every woman wants a man who cares about herself, loves herself, and takes care of herself. But Robin, I may make you feel uncomfortable when I say this, but I will tell the truth. Your mother has been dead for many years, and without the nourishment of life energy, the body has been corrupted. If only if the bones are laid, then even if Khalifa's current strength is so strong, and I join forces, I can only be sure of 50%, and this kind of resurrection can only be used by any one person once. This person can never use this ability on him. Quote. Portgas D. Dana suddenly said to Nico Robin in a very serious tone. She was right. Her words did make Nico Robin a little uncomfortable, but it also made her mentally prepared. After all, this is not a 100% resurrection. Instead, there is a chance of failure. If you have a certain idea of success, then the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. She doesn't want Nico Robin to be unable to bear this. Don't worry, Sister Dana, I know what to do. Hope is better than no hope. Nico Robin forced a smile. She is not unreasonable. Of course she knows Portgas D. Dana is for her good, so she is also making reasonable preparations. No matter whether there is success or failure, at least there is hope. That's good. Portgas D. Dana couldn't help but feel the same thing when she looked at Nico Robin. Although her sister Rouge had a better chance of resurrecting than Nico Robin's mother, Nicolia wants to be high, but it's only 20% high. As long as it's not a 100% resurrection, it's all risky. After so many years of preparation, it's finally time to put it into practice, and her heart is not her surface. So peaceful. Stop talking about this, Dana. Where is your sister kept by you? Lu Chengkong saw that the atmosphere was a little dignified, so he changed the subject. Of course, it's where she thinks of for safety. You're so smart that you must have guessed it. Portgas D. Dana blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a chuckle. The safest. Lu Chengkong is also not interested. Every time Portgas D. Dana has to guess the answer by herself, she has already given clues, so she kept thinking about Portgas D. Dana's words in her mind, thinking that she was the one that Rouge thought of the most. The place suddenly flashed. If Rouge thinks of the place where Ace is the most, Rouge can save his life for Ace's birth, but he can sacrifice his own life, so there are only two places. One is on Whitebeard's pirate ship, and the other is Windmill Village. Lu Chengkong raised his head, his eyes twinkling, staring at Portgas de Dana's eyes, and said word by word. As expected of the captain, the brain is really flexible, but it is also, for you who have cultivated your genes in the return of life, your brain has been developed to the peak, and the speed of thinking and wisdom is not comparable to normal people. Portgas de Dana spoke with envy here. As a practitioner of life return, she certainly knows the powerful ability of life return. The deeper the practice, the greater the effect. The four of them have actually reached a point where none of the founders of Rokushiki, Gorosei, 5 elders, can reach the level, beyond the perfect control of the brain, to the point of perfect control of the genes. You have too many attachments in your heart that you can't let go of everything to become stronger. Maybe it's because of Rouge. I think this time, no matter whether Rouge can be resurrected or not, the shackles in your heart will also be lifted. Inch's strength will also increase. Lu Chengkong glanced at Portgas de Dana. He used to think that Dana was overwhelmed and troubled by too many things. She couldn't let go of all the bravery and diligence to become stronger, and she couldn't be like Hancock, Lu Chengkong, and Khalifa. After dying, he grew stronger, and that's exactly how Dana was not only overtaken by Khalifa, who was not as talented as her, but also made little progress over the years. I hope so, but for me, if Rouge can be resurrected, I'd rather be an ordinary person. Portgas de Dana didn't speak, but turned around, her deep eyes staring at the magnificent, endless sea. My heart is tense and complicated. No one is more fond of her feelings for Rouge than her. It can be said that the relationship between Rouge and Dana is exactly the same as Khalifa's treatment of Lu Chengkong. Nami, set off for East Blue Windmill Village. Lu Chengkong turned around and said to Nami, who was drawing a voyage. Okay. Nami nodded and made a gesture. Kuina immediately ran over to help Nami control the new pleasure. The direction should change in an instant. The arc motto, the eagle-eyed coffin ship, and the new pleasure immediately turned to East Blue Windmill Village hits the road. 312 Garp's resentment. Windmill Village. It's finally here, but this village is really nice and peaceful. If you want to live in seclusion, it is indeed a good village and a good place to choose. Lu Chengkong looked at the small village in front of him and couldn't help himself letting out a sigh. It is indeed a good place for the protagonist to live, indeed. Yeah, no wonder that lousy old man in Garp chooses to spend the rest of his life here. I heard that Kuzan, Kazaru and Sengoku are all here. Hee, Cao Cao and Cao Cao are here as soon as they say. It may be that years of preparation have finally come to fruition. It's time, so even though it's not 100% successful, Portgas de*s mood seems to be higher. Sure enough, as soon as her voice fell, 4 people immediately appeared in front of them. It was Garp, Sengoku, Kazaru, and Kuzan. Obviously, the 4 of them sensed the existence of Lu Chengkong's group through hockey, which could make the happy pirates. The whole boat was dispatched together, and there must be something big coming here. Of course, this was their idea, so they ran over to join in the fun. Of course, it's not that they didn't think that Lu Chengkong was here to kill them, but every time they had this idea, they would scoff at them for a while. You can kill yourself and others during the Gorosei, 5 elders battle. In fact, neither of them hate each other very much, and there is no special hatred that cannot be resolved. Of course, except for Akainu who was killed by Lu Chengkong. It's just that the camps of the 2 sides can only doom them to be natural enemies. Now that the marine is ruined, and it's still at the hands of the Gorosei, 5 elders, then they're gone, and of course there's no such thing as animosity. Chengkong boy, why are you here so free? Garp, who was the most familiar, didn't feel the so-called embarrassment at all, but greeted Lu Chengkong with a familiar look, so that even the thick-skinned Sengoku and Kazaru couldn't help but get hot for a while. Garp is really good, can't you be polite? It's nothing, just resurrecting Portgas de Rouge. Lu Chengkong didn't hide it, and said casually. Oh, that's it, it's just resurrection, what are you talking about? Resurrection Portgas de Rouge, can you resurrect Rouge? Garp didn't take it seriously. He casually took over the topic, but his face changed drastically just after he said it. The fact not only him, but even Sengoku, Kizaru, and Kuzan around him were shocked. It's only 70% sure. Lu Chengkong secretly said in his heart, and sure enough, for Garp in the original book, he was most guilty of 3 things in his life. The first was Roger's illness and he couldn't change it. One thing is Rouge's death, the third is Ace's death, but the third thing is because of Lu Chengkong's interference. So Ace did not die, and Garp did not have the sadness in the original book. Look. Really, Portgas D. Dana, Portgas D. Rouge, I'm stupid enough to not know you're Rouge's sister after all these years. Garp recalled for a moment, glanced at Portgas D. Dana in front of him, and said with a lingering expression, obviously he remembered the battle between him and Dana when the Chi Xiaoyao pirates met, but fortunately he didn't shoot with all his strength otherwise. If he killed Dana, who was weaker than him at that time, he would die without regrets after knowing Dana's life experience. Goddamn Sengoku, it's fortunate that this old man has done a lot of bodhisattva, otherwise what would you do if you called me? Thinking of this, Garp looked at Sengoku with a resentful expression, causing Sengoku to shudder all over his body, as if he had done it. It's like something horrific. Yeah. For Rouge, what she wanted to do most at that time was to be by the child's side and watch Ace grow up. It is indeed a good choice for you to put her here. Sengoku nodded. In fact, he was very guilty about killing Rouge, but he was a marshal, and his every move was related to the Marine's face. He was a role model for all Marines. Something against Marine. So he can only go against his heart, endure the pain in his heart, and issue an order to hunt down Rouge. But he doesn't have no room for it. At least he didn't stop Garp secretly, let Garp rescue Rouge many times, and even Ace he survived for so many years without killing Ace. These are all over. As long as my sister can be resurrected, Ace is not dead anyway. Portgas D. Dana didn't care, waved her hand and said, but her eyes flashed when she said Ace. She doesn't like it at all. Obviously she doesn't like Ace very much. In fact, she also thinks so in her heart. Apart from Ace's character and not cherishing her own life, Rouge is entirely because she wants to give birth to Ace. Strange will die, Sedana, who is a sister, doesn't like this nephew very much. Hey, I don't care about other people's family affairs, but it's all a family, and there is no big hatred. It's just that Rouge's death and Ace's stubbornness don't learn conqueror, so her aunt doesn't like it very much. Ace, you too. Yes, you were too stubborn before, but if Rouge can be resurrected this time, there will be no gap. Quote. Garp is someone who has lived most of his life, and his level of observation is very remarkable. From Dana's expression, he can guess most of the reasons. Lu Chengkong and his party were led by Portgas D. Dana to a relatively open place. They glanced around and found that there was really nothing to hide, but Dana quickly solved everyone's doubts. Only seeing that Dana had punched the place, a population suddenly appeared on the ground, and Lu Chengkong walked in first without asking anything. Soon he came to the innermost place. The entrance was an ice room. Inside was a coffin made of ice. Lu Chengkong's eyesight was so powerful, he could see at a glance that the woman inside was Portgas D. Rouge. But the strange thing is that this woman obviously has no heartbeat, not even any vitality, but her face looks very healthy, like a living normal person. Go, Khalifa, just do your best. Lu Chengkong didn't want Khalifa to have any pressure. Although he had a good opinion of this great mother, these good feelings were nothing compared to Khalifa. Khalifa didn't say anything, but returned a reassuring look to Lu Chengkong. In fact, they didn't need to say anything at all, and they could understand what the other party wanted to express with just one look, but Lu Chengkong preferred to say it. 313 Rouge awakens. Sister, I haven't come to see you for a few years. You can't blame me. Portgas D. Dana walked to Portgas D. Rouge's ice coffin, gently opened the ice cap, and looked at the beautiful flower in front of her. With a little freckles on her face, not only did not affect her appearance in any way, but it added a bit of strange charm. After so many years of preparation, I have found the person with the ability of the fruit of light, and the strength is stronger than my sister. Sister, you wait, I will resurrect you. Portgas D. Dana said. Here Vivi reddened. However, she also knew that at this time, she had to calm down her state of mind, so that she had no distractions. Let's get started. Portgas D. Dana is worthy of being Portgas D. Dana. The mentality that was very unstable just now calmed down. Her eyes were calm, and there was no emotional passiveness, as if the person lying in front of her was not her sister. The effort to control emotions this time is really enviable. Holy light. Khalifa did not use the undead return immediately, but instead used the holy light, full of holiness. The warm holy light bathed Portgas de Rouge's body, and a trace of black energy actually radiated from her body at a speed visible to the naked eye. And then disappeared in an instant, as if half of it was purified by the holy light. It's time to start. Seeing this situation, Khalifa nodded secretly, and then said to Portgas D. Dana beside him. Sure enough, it is as meticulous as dust. No wonder Lu Chengkong can control the whole great and dirty way so quickly. I think you have played a great role in it. Portgas D. Dana secretly said in her heart. After all, Rouge has been dead for so long. Even if her life energy is pregnant, her soul and body are still eroded by death energy. The holy light of Khalifa just now purifies all this death energy. If resurrected like this, there are no sequelae. Okay, the deceased is reborn. Portgas D. Dana put her hands together, and the green life energy burst out from her hands with a strong vitality. Return of the Undead. Khalifa also used the Return of the Undead at the same time, as if to awaken the soul of Portgas de Rouge. The two energies were entangled with each other in midair, perfectly forming a vibrant and holy energy, and then instantly integrated into Portgas de Rouge's body. Hey! Khalifa and Portgas D. Dana shouted coquettishly at the same time under the anticipation and nervous gaze of everyone. The recovery of the body and the recovery of the soul were completed at the same time, and then the resurrected body and soul were perfected at the same time. After all, it is the first time to use it, and it is the first time that everyone has seen the ability to resurrect the dead, so everyone is very worried. Ji Baohua Lu Chengkong was extremely nervous. After all, if it succeeded, it would mean that everyone in the Happy Pirates would have an extra life. How could this not make them nervous and excited? Brush. After half a sound, Portgas de Rouge's body suddenly burst into a dazzling light, and then Vivi's eyelids, which had been closed tightly for more than 10 years, hadn't changed a bit, actually trembled. Portgas de Rouge's eyelids trembled under the eyes of Portgas D. Dana's tearful eyes. The magnitude is getting bigger and bigger. At the end, her eyes suddenly opened, and her confused eyes flashed past. After the film, the daze disappeared, and it was replaced by pure innocence as clear as water, like a newborn baby, without a trace of impurities. No way. Portgas D. Dana suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart. Sure enough, the next scene made her both sad and happy. Who are you? Who am I? Why am I here? What are you going to do? Portgas de Rouge said, looking at Portgas D. Dana in front of her. Her words made Dana very sad, and the sad thing was that her sister had forgotten. I am happy that my sister is finally resurrected. It seems that my guess is correct. Although I have purified the dead energy in her soul and body just now, this trace of dead energy has existed in her body for so many years after all, and it definitely has a certain effect on her. The degree of damage, and her damage is to make her lose her memory, not forgetting, but really losing. Now Rouge is a new Rouge, as if she has forgotten everything in her previous life. Khalifa looked at Portgas D. Dana. Halfway the sound opened his mouth and said, You mean she'll never get her memory back? Portgas D. Dana was full of disbelief, and her tone was very excited. That's right, although you nourished her with life energy. Although life energy can suppress the increase in death energy, it cannot completely eliminate death energy, so the memory of the body and soul has been eroded away, not forgotten. There is a corner waiting for you to wake up, so her memory has completely disappeared. Everything she experienced in her life has disappeared, and now she is like a newborn baby, but she has the wisdom of an adult. Khalifa nodded and said, How could this be? Portgas D. Dana said with a dazed expression. Okay Dana, don't be like this. at least Rouge has been resurrected, which is a good thing, and it's a good thing for her to lose her memory and start all over again. She has paid enough in the previous life, and now she is resurrected. You treat her well, let her live a comfortable, carefree and happy life, let the pain and unhappiness of the past be like a fleeting moment, and it will go away with the wind. Quote. Lu Chengkong looked at Dana's appearance at this time, and couldn't help but comfort him. Maybe you were right, no matter what, she is still my sister. In the past, she was giving, and she never lived for herself or was happy. In that case, now I will let her live a happy life again. Maybe Lu Chengkong's words played a role. Dana calmed down quickly, and looked at Rouge with an irreversible softness and affection in her eyes. Maybe this kind of eyes infected Rouge and made Rouge's guarded eyes. Rouge was gone by the time he looked at Dana, just at a loss. Let's get out of here first and let them have a good chat. Lu Chengkong said that he did not give Garp and others a chance to speak at all. With a big wave of his hand, the ability of the space fruit was activated immediately, and everyone disappeared in this basement in an instant. This pair of sisters spends inside. 314 Robin wants to study again. With Lu Chengkong and others leaving, the pair of sisters began to chat between them. Except for the two of them, they didn't know what they said, but when Dana and Rouge came out, both of them had expressions on their faces. It was with a happy smile, and there was actually a talk and a laugh, and those who didn't know thought that Courtegus de Rouge didn't lose his memory at all. It may have been sleeping here for more than 10 years. Courtegus de Rouge was more interested in everything about Windmill Village, so Lu Chengkong and others stayed here for a few more days, making Courtegus de Rouge's mind as simple as a baby, but it has adult wise women have a good understanding of the world, and at the same time get to know the people around them. Rouge sighed almost every time she was there. She shared her years of experience and her childhood with Rouge. All the interesting things in life have been told to Rouge, and Rouge's emotional intelligence and knowledge are constantly rising at an alarming rate. I believe that she will not be unfamiliar with this world in a long time. Garp, you really know how to choose a place. It would be good for Windmill Village to live in seclusion, but unfortunately I don't think I will have the chance to live in seclusion in my life. Lu Chengkong stood on the bow, looking down at Garp who was coming. The group said, your character is destined that you will not be satisfied with the status quo no matter where you go. It can be said that wherever you go, trouble will follow. Even if you want to live in seclusion, it is impossible. Garp smiled heartily. Obviously, although Rouge has no previous testimony, it is a pity that Garp is over to be alive. Maybe you're right. Well, I'm leaving. I think the next time you hear from me it might be time for me to be at Laugh Tale, but your grandson seems to be obsessed with One Piece, King of Pirates. What do you think I should do? Lu Chengkong obviously deliberately gave Garp a problem. Children Bai has children and grandchildren Fu, since he has gone this way, and he still aims at One Piece, King of Pirates, he has to pay the price for his choice, but the old man can't control that much. As for the Dragon Boy, I really want to thank you, old man. What I didn't expect was that Garp didn't care at all, smiling so innocently without any reluctance. Obviously he was speaking from his heart. Okay, I'm not kidding you. I don't think your grandson and I have any conflict of interest. If I can, I will save his life. After all, One Piece, King of Pirates is a lifelong pursuit for him. But for me it's dispensable, there's nothing worth pursuing. Lu Chengkong didn't give Garp a chance to speak. He turned over and sat on the beach chair on the deck, enjoying the massage of the two princesses, Salas and Vivi, and the new happy cruise, which had been suspended for 3 days, started again. Its voyage. It's still the same arrogance. Kizaru laughed wretchedly. But he has arrogant capital, doesn't he? Now the Great Waterway is basically under his control. I think only that woman can become his opponent, and I think Lu Chengkong is not necessarily worse than her now. Every time I see him, I feel that he is stronger and more terrifying than before. Quote. This time, Sengoku has surprisingly said good things for Lu Chengkong, but his words made Kizaru unable to refute, because he also thought so in his heart. Robin, don't be nervous, Khalifa and Dana have already had a resurrection experience, and they will definitely be able to resurrect your mother, but I think you should prepare for your mother's amnesia. After all, she has been dead for many years. Lu Chengkong looked at Nicole Robin, who was depressed, and immediately walked over to hug her in his arms, and comforted her softly. Sometimes in my life, I won't force it, and it's not that I don't have a chance. Don't worry, I'm fine. Nico Robin sighed softly, as if to spit out all the depression in her chest. Even if he buried Junsho on Lu Chengkong's chest, he suddenly muttered in his mouth. Tonight Robin wants to explore and study your brother. I find it more and more valuable to study, is that okay? Of course you can, Lu Chengkong said with his eyes. He almost couldn't help turning into a beast to make a day-to-day declaration, but think about it, after all, he has tossed Nico Robin and other women a lot these days. It's time to let them rest, but at the same time, he thought in his heart that it was time to collect the beauties on the ship. After all, they have been cultivated for so long, and it was time to start the slaughter, and they were all fattened. Just as Lu Chengkong and the others were on the new Xiaoyao heading to the destroyed Aoyuanla, there was a short, fat old man with no hair on the inside of the disaster island, which ranked second in the Great Waterway. Laughing wildly. Ha, condolences, I finally succeeded, Lu Chengkong, I really want to thank you. If you hadn't forced those 4 old ghosts to nowhere, I couldn't devour all their souls. Now my strength it has been improved and the bottleneck that has existed for a long time has been broken. I know that you will definitely come to Laugh Tale. The old man is waiting for you here, and then you and the guys like Whitebeard will be wiped out in one fell swoop. Quote. The man with a terrifying murderous intention and gloomy gloom in his grinning smile is Alkiba, one of the Gorosei 5 elders, a strong man with the fruit of death. 2 years ago, Gorosei 5 elders and others activated Hades at the expense of the body and the bodies and souls of almost all the warriors in Marine, raising the power to an unprecedented level, but unfortunately they were finally defeated by Lu Chengkong, and then Alkiba escaped. Came to this island. It's just that as the supreme ruler of the government who once ruled the world from the top, he is now a bereaved dog, like a rat crossing the street. He is not reconciled, so he has a crooked idea, and instead of finding flesh for the other 4 Gorosei 5 elders, he deceived them. Devouring their souls one by one, absorbing the souls of 4 powerhouses of the same level allowed him to break through the bottleneck for many years and greatly improve his strength. He has not appeared in the past 2 years, but he is digesting and devouring these 4 souls. After all, they are all of the same level of powerhouse, and it will take a while to devour and fuse. It's just that as he completes the absorption, the great channel that has just calmed down may cause a bloody storm again because of him, but it's a pity that he is busy picking up girls and planning to resurrect Robin's mother. Not knowing these things, he was thinking about Robin, a mother and daughter, at this moment. And even if he knows, it's nothing. After all, what he desires most is to fight against people who are stronger than himself, so when Alkiba becomes stronger, he will not only not be afraid, but will be happier. After all, Alkiba is not the only one who becomes stronger. A person. 315 peeking at mother-in-law and touching herself. O'Hara Ulbia, Robin's mother, I hope to be resurrected successfully. Lu Chengkong thought to himself. Just as he was about to return to his room, he released the lust in his lower abdomen. When he came out, Vivi's ears suddenly moved, and a faint moan came into his ears. How powerful is Lu Chengkong's ear, even if the owner of this voice controls the voice to a very small level, trying not to let anyone hear it, but unfortunately it still can't hide Lu Chengkong's perverted hearing. That voice. It's familiar, huh? Isn't that the mother of Nami and Nojiko, the 2 girls? Why does it sound like a cat in spring? Could it be? An idea immediately appeared in his mind, causing Lu Chengkong's mouth to curl up with a wicked smile. His footsteps changed slightly, and his direction changed. Originally he was walking towards his room, but now he was heading towards Burmei's room. Go. In the room, Nami and Nojiko's mother, Burmei, who died for their 2 daughters in the original book, is more stubborn than men, but the feisty woman is lying on her bed at this time, acting as a grievance woman, wanting this is what a dissatisfied beautiful woman is doing. Lu Chengkong hides it to the side and doesn't look at it, but he can't move his eyes away anymore, because he sees Belle's knees up, his whole body smashed, his left hand is stroking his jade girl peak, and his right hand is digging the jade liquid that has long been flowing. Peach blossom spring, the eyes are filled with water waves, the cheeks are flushed, the petite body is trembling slightly, and the face is full of happy expressions, just like a picture of a beautiful woman. I'm really an unchaste and bad woman. I'm a mother, and I can't help but do this kind of thing, But it's really comfortable and I can't stop. Lu Chengkong listened carefully. Belle's small mouth Vivi opened, and a faint voice floated out. Hearing his lust soared, he almost couldn't help breaking the door, and directly came to Bellemere the Tequila War, but the will that was tougher than steel made him endure it very rationally. He was very much like seeing what amazing actions Bellemere would do next. Ah no, it's too big, yours is too big, I can't hold it, don't stop, hurry up, no, how can I do this, actually S own son-in-law, no, can't do this, Bellemere stop now. Bellemere said so, but her hands didn't stop at all. Instead, she moved faster and faster, and her trembling became more and more obvious. In the end, she might have reached a critical point, and she seemed a little crazy. He actually suppressed his own voice and screamed. I'm not afraid, although it's my son-in-law, but I didn't fight with my daughter, I just thought about it, yes, it must be my physical problem, I definitely won't like that dragging brat, but I heard Nami and the two girls say that he is very good. If it weren't for Nami and the others, I would really like to have sex with him, what did I say? I'm going to come. Bellemere got what she wanted, but when she was fluttering and enjoying the aftermath of the climax, she felt light and was picked up. Years of combat experience made her conditional launch open. He opened his eyes, punched the passer in the face at the same time, and slapped his butt at the same time, but unfortunately these attacks were all blocked by the passer. Even the strength of the person who came was so strong that she couldn't resist at all. Immediately when she was about to scream, the person immediately covered her mouth. It should be said to be kissing, because the person who came was Lu Chengkong, who was full of lust, couldn't hold back after watching a live erotic palace. How could he manage so much? What made him unable to control himself the most was that he didn't expect that Bellemere, who seemed to ignore him on the surface, would actually take him as the object of and the last screaming words made Lu Chengkong immediately violent and pressed her under him. At the same time, Vivi's body trembled, and the clothes on his body shattered immediately. Without any prelude, the giant dragon directly attacked Bellemere's Peach Blossom Land. It hurts, but it's really big. It's exactly like what Nami said. It's no wonder you can conquer so many ginger girls. Although Bellemere's lower body was extremely wet after the just now, but she is and for the first time, she faced Lu Chengkong's astonishing size. Even if oil lubrication is still useless, screaming is still impossible. It was avoided, but her performance was still so sturdy. A normal woman would have been yelling no, or crying to the death, but she was still in the mood to comment on Lu Chengkong's hugeness. Hey, I didn't expect to have this kind of relationship with you, is this life? But this taste is really enough to be infatuated with, no wonder the two of them are like this every time they talk about it. Satisfied, but a little scared at the same time, it turns out that your capital is so big, forget it. Since it's all happened, give me a little more force, and if you can't satisfy me, then get me out of bed. While Bellemere may have adapted to Lu Chengkong's size, she was sturdy and said words that made Lu Chengkong tremble with sweat. At the same time, she actually twisted her waist and paid her respects to Lu Chengkong, but Lu Chengkong also resorted to do your best to conquer this batch of rouge horses. After all, he believed that Bellemere could definitely say it. She didn't seem to have anything to do with Lu Chengkong. After all, Lu Chengkong was her son-in-law. Now that Lu Chengkong is stronger, things can't be changed. She is strong and decisive. What, on the contrary, I want to have a good taste of making my daughter want to die, and I also want to see if Lu Chengkong is a silver like wax gun. This woman will definitely blow herself out after she says what she says. So Lu Chengkong put more effort into it and did not pity Belmir's body at all. After all, Lu Chengkong, like Belmir, has more desire than love for the other party, and he is still the overlord. If he can't conquer the other party, then don't say that Belmir is upset. Even Lu Chengkong himself has no face to live. The two were like thunder and fire, they collided completely, and they squeezed each other dry, with a look of never giving up. It was because of Belmir's words and Lu Chengkong's conquest. Desire caused Belmir to be unable to get out of bed for 3 days, but Belmir not only was not dissatisfied with this, but said a more sturdy sentence after the event. 316 Conquering Mother-in-Law. Very good, since you are so powerful, you need me, and my body also needs you, then I will come to trick you if it's okay, but don't worry, no matter whether you have feelings or not, I'm already your woman, as long as if you can satisfy me, if you don't let me do things that are wrong to me, then I will also do my part. Except for you, I would rather die than let people slap a hair. Don't think of me as a woman, I have my bottom line too. Quote. That's right, Belmir is not a YD woman. In fact, she is passive in this matter from beginning to end. She was forced to bow by the overlord. Nothing out of the ordinary was done. After all, she has not been nourished by love and is extremely empty, nor is she Portgas Dana, Khalifa, Hancock, Margaret and the like. The life return practice is very strong, and the control of the body is very perverted, and she can control her body perfectly. All the functional changes in her body will not appear the lust and desire of a normal woman. Lu Chengkong was speechless on the spot. Is this still the way a woman should behave after being forced to bow by a bully? It seems that the original book is right. Belmir is definitely a strange woman who is much stronger than men, and she never regrets her choice. Thinking about her using him just now, she is not in her heart. Too much refusal. It should be said that she was not reluctant, otherwise Lu Chengkong believed that this stubborn woman would rather die than let him succeed. For a period of time after he was strong on Belmir, Lu Chengkong did not extend his claws to the woman in the boat. Instead, he accompanied the woman who was eaten by him every day, and cultivated his feelings well, especially Belmir. This woman, Lu Chengkong, ravaged her a lot every day. Every time she gave up this unruly woman, she couldn't move. To be honest, she was the craziest person in bed who served Lu Chengkong wholeheartedly. Apart from Khalifa and Hancock, in addition to my aunt, it belongs to Belmir. Hey Young, wasn't it pretty good just now? You said you want to squeeze. Lu Chengkong raised his head smugly like a victorious marshal and glanced sideways. Although he was so tired that he couldn't move, he couldn't even move a finger, but his eyes stared at him stubbornly, said Belmir. Humph. Belmir could only snort softly. In fact, she has been completely conquered by Lu Chengkong these days. Unlike other women, Belmir is completely conquered by Lu Chengkong in body and mind. So if Lu Chengkong can't completely convince Belmir in bed, this proud and stubborn woman will definitely be dissatisfied, and even embarrass herself, but once you convince her, then she is definitely the most loyal martyr. Okay, husband, don't fight with Belmir. She has actually accepted you, and so have you. You pushed your mother-in-law as well. It's amazing. Aunt Xiao was like a ginger snake. Lu Chengkong said coquettishly while sticking out his lilac uvula while Xiao Chengkong. Who accepted him? Belmir's true thoughts were pierced in front of his face, and his face turned slightly red, but he still refused to admit defeat. A dead duck has a tough mouth. Aunt Xiao rolled her eyes at Belmir. She was very fond of this stubborn woman who was only younger than herself on the boat, and Belmir was the same, so there was a relationship between the two of them. Feelings are the best. Even other people's mothers let them go. I don't know if you plan to eat both mothers and daughters from the beginning. Khalifa used to be the jealous jar, but now it has become Nojiko and Nami. The two women on the bed were also very dissolute just now. After all, mother and daughter take everything. The pleasure brought by crossing the moral boundary is very huge, but it does not mean that the two women are not jealous, especially recently Lu Chengkong has pushed so much. There are so many beauties, and the harem continues to grow, which makes Nami, a little girl, feel sour in her heart. What's the matter, my little Nami? Nojiko is jealous, and she can use a few small oil bottles just by looking at her mouth. Of course Lu Chengkong knew that Nami and Nojiko were upset, so she just aggressively attacked the two women. Let them get carried away, and for a while forgot to find themselves to settle accounts, and now that they have come to their senses, Lu Chengkong will give them a chance to settle accounts, so he uses his mouth and mouth while enjoying Aunt Xiao's mouth, jade hands and service. Mouth and hands occupy the peach blossoms of Nami and Nojiko respectively, teasing and playing with the increasingly moist and plump cock. Soon, under Lu Chengkong's incomparable skill, the two girls who were supposed to settle accounts in the autumn soon groaned in ecstasy, gasping for breath, especially since their mother was still naked. Lying on the side and looking at them gave them the pleasure of breaking the taboo. The cock cracked, the honey juice inside was surging out, and the music that had just stopped resounded throughout the captain's room again. Is this Osunla? There is nothing. Rouge stood on the bow and looked at the sea in front of him, and there was nothing behind him except an endless island like a plain. My hometown has been destroyed by Buster Call, and the only thing left is this island. Robin said calmly, if it wasn't for the trembling of her delicate body, Vivi, I wouldn't know she was talking about her hometown. Although she hides it well, Rouge still sees a trace of sadness in her eyes. Okay, that guy Kuzan told me that she buried your mother inside, and because of Saren, she deliberately froze your mother, so your mother's body should be preserved. Although there is no life, the energy is moisturizing, but there should be a 60% chance of being resurrected, and after Rouge's experiment, Dana and Khalifa will be more handy to use, don't worry. Chengkong looked like a wounded cat, his body was shaking, and people couldn't help but feel pity, so he hugged her in his arms and comforted him. Bai Jing Robin said it was his own. A woman, a wife, of course, as a husband, he must try his best to make her happy. Also, don't forget that I am the mirror image clone that can summon Dana and Khalifa. When the four of them use it together, it will definitely increase the chance of resurrection. When Lu Chengkong said this, he scolded himself for being an idiot. He actually forgot his reversal and mirror image clone when he resurrected Rouge. Fortunately, he was successfully resurrected in the end. Otherwise, he would be depressed to death, especially when he was full of maternal love. White, with a sultry body, Rouge is even more fortunate in her heart. It would be a pity if such a stunning stunner could only sleep forever. 317 The perfect stunner Shirahoshi. The following resurrection ceremony really confirmed Lu Chengkong's previous thoughts. The two reversal mirror clones he summoned joined the resurrection, and the chance of success was greatly improved. The original high-risk resurrection can be said to have become surprised. Nicole Urbia, who had been sleeping for 20 years, was finally resurrected, but because she did not have the life energy of Portgas D. Dana, so even though she was successfully resurrected, her body was very weak, but it was a breeze. It seemed like it could blow her body down. But all this has become a little trivial to the ecstatic Nico Robin, because for her, as long as her mother is alive, it is enough. Although her mother never fulfilled her responsibility as a mother at all, Nicole Robin, who longed for maternal love, chose to forget her fault very generously, because Urbia, like Portgas de Rouge, lost both. It was precisely because of this that the last bit of resentment and pimple in Nico Robin's heart disappeared without a trace. After fulfilling his wife's and Dana's wishes, Lu Chengkong, who had nothing to worry about, immediately drove the speed of the Xinxiaoyao to the maximum, and drove at the fastest speed to Laugh Tale, the end point of the great waterway of the New World. Khalifa, I don't know if it's an illusion. The closer I get to the New World, the more uncomfortable my heart is. It's like there is a hole in front of me waiting for me to jump in. Lu Chengkong looked at the magnificent sea and the New World. The peculiar weather that is unique to the world, which changes between 5 and 6 o'clock, sighed very uncomfortable. You too, I thought it was just me. It seems that our intuition is right. There may really be danger waiting for us in the unknown front. A powerhouse at the level of the four emperors. The same is true for Khalifa. A trace of worry flashed across her delicate and charming face. Cut, who else can be counted? The number of powerhouses surpassing the four emperors can be counted with 10 fingers. Except for a certain woman, there are only Gorosei, 5 elders. I think Gorosei, 5 elders should take the it will be successful, and only a few of them will count on us. Portgas D. Dana's voice suddenly sounded. Although her sister lost her previous memory, she seemed to be more satisfied with it. After all, the resurrected Rouge was like a new life to her. Those who were unhappy before should forget to start a new life. After fulfilling her wish for many years, she became more cheerful. Of course, this was for Lu Chengkong and the others, and for others, it was the same as before. It should be, but I remember it very fondly. Hades should have been destroyed by me. Even if he could still use his power, it would not be much stronger. Shirahoshi's strength is getting stronger and stronger, and he has control over Sea King Lu and the sea. It is already very handy. Even in the face of the last Hades, Shirahoshi can be invincible. There is nothing to be afraid of. Quote. Lu Chengkong waved his hand, trying his best to make his tone a little more relaxed, but he didn't know why he was still a little uneasy. If he can feel this way now, he can imagine how dangerous it is. In fact, the intuition of Lu Chengkong and Khalifa is correct. The Gorosei, 5 elders waiting for them should not be said to be the last Gorosei, 5 elders to survive. Alchiba actually had a crooked thought in his heart. Not only did he not help his longtime old friend Win-Yes, on the contrary, they devoured their souls madly, and made a breakthrough in their strength. What awaits them is Alchiba, who has made great progress. Chengkong. Shandong, don't worry, Shirahoshi is very powerful now. Even if those little old men come, they will not be afraid, they will protect you. Shirahoshi suddenly came over. Yes, he came, said it's also miraculous. Shirahoshi's body size was able to become smaller later. Not to mention, after her sex, she actually told Lu Chengkong that her tail was folded and turned into human feet. This whitening made Lu Chengkong happy. The wolf howled. Shirahoshi still remembers the affection so clearly, but when he told Lu Chengkong, he said something that made Shirahoshi feel ashamed. Great, but Shirahoshi, after you become human, will what we do in plus taste different, and will it be the first time? Chengkong's pro-white operation, and what made him burst into tears was that what Shirahoshi did after he became a human was indeed the first time. Completely different in mermaid state. In the mermaid state, it is cold and refreshing. In the human state, it is fiery and refreshing. It can be said to be the 9 heavens of ice and fire. 2 different extreme tastes are gathered on Shirahoshi's body at the same time. The figure of a woman Bebe, her unique temperament, and the 2 different flavors in the state of mermaid and human, it is simply a combination of heaven and earth aura. It makes people jealous. Shirahoshi is so perfect and terrible, and Hancock together as 2 perfect partners. Lu Chengkong thought to himself, that's right, Shirahoshi and Hancock are so perfect that Lu Chengkong every time I think about it, I feel very proud and happy. Poochie. Dana couldn't help laughing at first. Seeing that Shirahoshi, who was usually a little too natural, actually took the initiative to say these words this time, a big sister-headed style immediately made her laugh, followed by everyone around her. I couldn't help laughing too, but unfortunately Shirahoshi's little bit of natural fruit came again at this time. I didn't know how cute I looked at this time. I thought Baiji's words were approved, and I raised a small smile happily. Brain. Okay, then your husband will be waiting for your wife to protect you. Lu Chengkong looked at Shirahoshi and immediately pulled her over and hugged her in his arms. He said in cooperation with her, while the atmosphere was a little tense and dull just now. It has also been relieved. Obviously this is also brought about by Shirahoshi's unintentional intervention. No problem, I'll wrap it up with Mrs. Ben, and I will make sure you have nothing at all. Shirahoshi didn't seem to be at all embarrassed or humble at all, but he directly accepted it, not realizing that Lu Chengkong's words were completely compliments. Let the girls who had just stopped to laugh once again. even the most taciturn and cold-hearted Kikyo Shirahoshi faced this innocent, cute pistachio Shirahoshi, looking at her and wanted to laugh. He didn't want to laugh, and the way he was holding back made Lu Chenggong think very maliciously in his heart. 318 The essence of the mirror fruit. The place where the New World is closest to the end of the Great Waterway, near the Island of Disaster, a relatively huge island, has gathered many famous people at this time. There are 3 pirates alone, namely the red-haired pirates, the white-beard pirates, and the most popular and powerful happy pirates. Today, I am here to set foot on Laugh Tale, but as long as a pirate knows that Whitebeard is guarding near the Disaster Island, he has never let any pirates cross it. It is precisely because of this that Whitebeard exists. The legend of Roger, it has never been broken for so many years. One Piece King of Pirates has only won so far, but after today, the legend of Roger will be broken, and Lu Chenggong will create a new legend. Laughter in the sky. As long as you defeat the old man and pass the Disaster Island behind, then it is the end of the Great Channel. Laugh Tale, the great secret of one, the hiding place of Oneifice, where countless thieves flock to. Whitebeard pointed at Lu Chenggong, who was much shorter than the white giant in front of him, holding his huge naginata. But even so, he didn't dare to underestimate Lu Chenggong at all. After all, Lu Chenggong's mirror image fusion was he had a fresh memory. I've been waiting for a long time, although I'm not very interested in what to do with One Piece King of Pirates. After all, for me, I'm already the Supreme Emperor who rules the Great Waterway. I'm just curious about what the op is. What is buried in it, or what secrets are hidden. Quote. Arrogant, yes, if these words are spoken by others, the people present will definitely say that he is arrogant, but any person here is an existence that calls for wind and rain in any place in the Great Waterway. Of course they know that Lu Chenggong's status and strength today are absolutely qualified to say these words. Would you like me to tell you? Pluto Rayleigh, who didn't know when he appeared, said very spoofily, but his words attracted some people's attention. After all, he was the deputy captain of One Piece, King of Pirates, and entered Laugh. People in Tale, as long as they are pirates, are interested in Laugh Tale and want to know what secrets are in it. After all, everyone has curiosity. No need, since I want to know, I will use my fists to uncover the secrets inside. Lu Chenggong shook his head amusingly, then glared at Rayleigh, the Underworld King, and glanced behind him at the same time. The Straw Hat Gang. Obviously Rayleigh wanted to bring the Straw Hat Gang to see the peak duel, so that they knew not to think that they were invincible after 2 years of training, so that they could polish off all their arrogance. Good boy, I just admire your character. If that's the case, then let Lao Su see how you use your fists to uncover the mystery of Laugh Tale. Whitebeard not only didn't get angry at this, but laughed. His tone was filled with inescapable admiration. I think the world now knows that I can use all the abilities of the mirror fruit. As long as I have seen this ability, I can use it. Maybe recently, I have been relying on other people's abilities to fight, so many people have ignored or forget the source of these abilities. Today I will use me to show you the true core skills of the mirror fruit and my most powerful hockey and martial arts. Quote. When Lu Chenggong said this, a domineering and majestic aura suddenly burst out from his body, blasting away in all directions like a whirlwind. Although none of them were weak, there were still many auras in the face of Lu Chenggong. People couldn't bear to be blasted out. As soon as Lu Chenggong's words came out, countless people present came to their senses, and they were all astonished in their hearts. Recently, Lu Chenggong's versatile fruit ability has made everyone's attention focus on his fruit ability, forgetting it. What did Lu Chenggong start with? Okay, then come on. Whitebeard was instantly delighted when he heard the words. He was never afraid of any challenge or any enemy stronger than himself. Lu Chenggong really remembered what he said. These strange abilities are the source because of his mirror fruit, and his strongest seems to be martial arts and hockey. Hee, Whitebeard, do you know? In my opinion, the strongest aspect of the mirror fruit is not that he can use the fruit ability of any ability person, but this. As soon as Lu Chenggong's voice fell, 3 figures suddenly appeared beside him. Everyone looked carefully and found that these three people were all Lu Chengkong, and it should be said that they were all mirror images of Lu Chengkong's body. What? Some people with poor understanding still didn't understand it, but the redhead, Rayleigh, Whitebeard and others suddenly understood. I think you have guessed it. My three body mirror images have 90% of my body's combat power. Each of them has their own fruit ability. Time fruit, mirror 3 has space fruit. Quote. That's right, the space fruit. In the Gorosei 5 Elders battle, Lu Chengkong touched the 20 kings, and finally the 20 kings died, so the only mirror clone without fruit ability also found the fruit ability that suits him. Therefore, the reversal mirror image clones of the dead 20 kings were integrated into the mirror image number 3, and Lu Chengkong's three most powerful clones finally appeared. Hiss. Although the redhead and the others already understood what was going on, they couldn't help but gasp when they heard Lu Chengkong's explanation. After 2 years of practice, their strength has grown greatly, except for Luffy and Zoro. Besides Sanji, the other members of the Straw Hat Gang were a little bit arrogant, but now Muyan suddenly came to his senses as if he was slammed into the head. Kura la la la, the stronger you are, the happier you are. This is the core and most powerful ability of your mirror fruit. Indeed, the use of those fruit abilities is nothing compared to your three mirror avatars. Then come on, let Lao Su see how strong you really are. While Whitebeard laughed loudly, the naginata in his hand immediately slashed out, and a white ball of light appeared on the blade. No matter how powerful Lu Chengkong was, Whitebeard was not afraid, but even more excited. The flames generally burned in Whitebeard's eyes. With Whitebeard's the space seemed to be unable to withstand this powerful force, and it whimpered with a click, and an incomparably sharp shockwave that could be seen in the eyes of the tearing world rippled out of the blade, directly at an astonishing speed. It slammed into Lu Chengkong's body. 319 people of my generation are not as good as. Okay, isn't Lu Chengkong full of strong fighting intent? His eyes are gleaming. He stepped out with one step. His 5 fingers bent slightly. His face did not change color. Facing such a powerful vibration with a sharp tearing all bow did not dodge as everyone thought, but confronted it head-on. You must know that no matter what, Whitebeard's shock fruit is the first known fruit ability in terms of destructive power and attack power. After all, the nickname of the fruit ability to destroy the world is not instigated, it is only compared to destructive power. In terms of attack power, many of the top 10 barren fruits are not as powerful as the shocking fruits. You can tell by looking at Blackbeard. In the original book, he was faced with dark wounds all over his body, and he suffered so many injuries. It could even be said that he was seriously injured and was on the verge of death. Blackbeard's attack by the old and 80 was full of emotions. Except for dodging, he didn't dare to be hard. Then, I can see the inside of the Junjun fruit. Whitebeard, who has recovered from his heyday, has a weapon as an auxiliary, and the shock wave has a terrible cutting force in addition to the powerful shock force, even if Gorosei 5 Elders and others face such an attack. At the beginning, Alkiba mainly focused on dodging, except when he was desperate. But now Lu Chengkong not only didn't use the fruit ability, but instead greeted him with his physical body. If everyone didn't know about Lu Chengkong's strength and personality, they would definitely think that he was a lunatic who wanted to die. Devil Profound Truth. 6 Demonic Spears. Lu Chengkong can't remember how long it has been, at least it's been a few years. He hasn't used the Devil Rokushiki for a long time, let alone Sha is the strongest profound truth in the Devil Rokushiki. The Devil Profound Truth. The current Lu Chengkong once again used the Devil's profound meaning. The power is not comparable to that of him several years ago. I saw that as Lu Chengkong pressed his right hand against the space in front of him, the air near his right hand seemed to be unable to withstand this terrifying force, and it boiled. Fancy, it seems to be straight, but it's not too clever, it can do the most. Whitebeard's shockwave and Lu Chengkong's 6 magic spears collided fiercely almost instantly, with a loud bang, spreading like a thunderbolt for more than 10 miles. As for the red hair and others, it was long before they started fighting. He has already left the island, and seems to be worried about being affected. After leaving the island, he actually drove his own pirate ship for almost a kilometer before stopping. They could see clearly from such a long distance, but it was precisely because they were so far apart that they still heard the deafening sound from a huge island and the sea 1 kilometer away. The loud noise seemed to be ringing beside him, and some people who couldn't keep up with the strength even felt that their ears seemed to be deaf. Whitebeard really deserves to be Whitebeard. After recovering his youth, his strength has improved so fast. It was not long after the Gorosei, 5 Elders battle ended. His strength has improved even more than that time. Said. Yeah, there is a saying in the Sky Boy, the world does not revolve around a few times, and there is not only one person who will improve. Whitebeard has experienced the fierce battle of Gorosei, 5 Elders, how can he not get anything? If that's the case, Whitebeard won't be so calm to fight Sky Boy. On the Straw Hat pirate ship not far from the Redhead, Pluto Rayleigh pointedly said, "I words, except for Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji in the Straw Hat pirate group, everyone else was full of embarrassment." It was extremely red. Obviously they all understood how hard Rayleigh took them to watch the battle and what Rayleigh said just now. It's really a dead man. Wuzupu and others thought to themselves that after finishing their cultivation, their hearts suddenly floated, and now seeing the battle ahead, they seemed to be drenched in a bowl of cold water, shivering all over their bodies, and they were completely awake. Coming. The children can be cut. Rayleigh glanced at them secretly, although in his heart only Luffy and the 3 could be made, but after all, they are all members of the Straw Hat Pirates, and they have been taught by him, although how many people did not admit that they were Usopp. Except Luffy and the 3 of them, but he doesn't want those who have studied with him to die in arrogance. Wow, it seems that the old man is not too late, this battle should have just begun. At this moment, a very familiar voice suddenly came, and some people who were familiar with this voice shouted like a conditional launch. Garp. Grandpa. You guys are really amazing. But when Rayleigh, Luffy, Ace, and the redheads turned around to see clearly, they were all speechless, with black lines all over their foreheads. Because it's not just Garp who comes. There are also Sengoku, Kizaru, and Kuzan. Of course, if it was just the red hair and others, they would not show this expression, but these guys are all old, and any one of them is a famous person. These guys were all crowded on Kuzan's small white car, and even their faces were pale, without a trace of embarrassment, and they didn't feel ashamed for their actions at all. Just Garp, Sengoku, Kizaru 3. Of course everyone knows that people are thick-skinned. A pity that Kuzan suffered. Not only did he have to carry the 3 of them alone, but he also had to be looked at by the red-haired and others with strange eyes, which made Kuzan's face, whose face was not repaired enough, couldn't help blushing. The skin is still not thick enough. Hi Luffy, Ace, I haven't seen you for a while, I miss Grandpa a little bit, let Grandpa give you a fist of love. Garp calmed down, his expression unchanged, as if the red-haired and others didn't see him, and he did. She wasn't the one who made these acts, but she actually climbed onto Luffy's boat and said the opening remarks that made Luffy and Ace very terrified. It's not as good as my generation. Facing such a cheeky Garp, the red-haired Rayleigh sighed in their hearts. If Z knew it, he would definitely say with a look of joy, "Fortunately, I was smart at the time and didn't promise to live in seclusion with these old men, otherwise I would be dead." Oh, it's really rare. Didn't you guys play seclusion? You actually came together. You won't be lonely and plan to come back. Rayleigh is also familiar, and the people in front of him have been dealing with them for decades, and they are very familiar with them. Of course, when Rayleigh speaks, he does not have the indifference of talking to strangers. To the pleasure of an old friend. 320 The horror of hockey martial arts. Hey, now, the back waves of the Yangtze River push the front waves, and the front waves die on the beach. If I don't give in, I'll die on the beach. I've done everything in my life. I've enjoyed power, fame, and status. It's time to retire. Don't mention the comeback. This is Sengoku, who has always been wretched, but this time, he is very serious. He is serious enough to let Kuzan and Kizaru on the side. Garp looked at him with strange eyes, and couldn't help thinking about this. Sengoku, when did Sengoku become so serious? This time, that old guy from Garp said he came to see his grandson. We had nothing to do, so we accompany him for a walk. It's a pity that Sengoku didn't keep his serious appearance for a few seconds before returning to his original form. It's still so wretched. Obviously he wanted to watch this battle, but he just said that Garp came to see his grandson and he accompanied Garp. Humans are better than dead, this guy's skin is really thick enough. Facing the two living treasures of Sengoku and Garp, the old man is not ashamed. What else can Pluto Rayleigh and others say? They can only sigh. His eyes turn to the island in front of him, focusing on the duel between Whitebeard and Lu Chengkong. Curl la la la, Chengkong boy, what is this? Whitebeard was obviously stunned when he saw Lu Chengkong's 6 magic spears. If Lu Chengkong used other abilities to resist or break his own attack, Whitebeard felt it was normal. But Lu Chengkong actually broke out such a terrifying shock from his internal body strength, and actually resisted the shock wave that was enough to destroy the world. The profound meaning created by the perfect combination of the devil's husband style, the devil's profound meaning, the 6 magic spears. Lu Chengkong twitched the corner of his mouth, but did not hide it. He also understood Whitebeard's thoughts. After all, the destructive power of Whitebeard's shock fruit was too terrible. How could he not be surprised that he was actually resisted by Baiji with his physical strength? I am really surprised. It seems that your martial arts and hockey are your strongest places. With the 3 mirror images of the mirror fruit, they can use all your martial skills and hockey. The combat power of 90, is what I said wrong. Whitebeard said. That's right, that's what I thought after I got the mirror fruit. Okay, don't gossip, just hit it first. Lu Chengkong didn't give Whitebeard a chance to talk. His body shot forward like a bullet, and in the blink of an eye he came to Whitebeard, obviously planning to fight in close quarters. Okay, refreshing, Naginata. Tooth. Whitebeard is indeed a person who has passed through the wind and food. He has never seen any type of powerhouse, and don't forget that he is the emperor of the giant family. White giant, don't look at his body compared to the giants like Oz. His strength is only stronger than them, not weaker. He is not afraid of close combat at all, not to mention that he has this Naginata combined with the shock fruit. Piao Shui. Lu Chengkong's expression did not change, but his heart was extremely shocked. Whitebeard is worthy of being Whitebeard. Whether it is long-range combat or close combat, he is very strong and unusual, and he hasn't seen him for a while. Whitebeard is obviously better than Gorosei 5. The Elders' battle is much stronger, and if Whitebeard were to fight any 10 Gorosei 5 Elders once, the current Whitebeard would definitely win. The body is like a snowflake floating in the north wind, moving with the wind, and the strong wind driven by Whitebeard's slashing sword easily escaped this attack, and at the same time, 3 mirror images of Lu Chengkong appeared in an instant. On the left and right sides of Whitebeard, each white used a powerful demon Rokushiki to attack Whitebeard. Smashing and smashing. Magic finger penetration. Zonkong dragon dance. Demon Rokushiki directly blocked all of Whitebeard's retreats in the shape of a glyph. Now Whitebeard has nothing but hard blocking, unless Whitebeard has the ability to pause the time fruit, or the ability to move the space fruit instantaneously, but unfortunately this is obviously impossible. It's not enough to see, the Naginata, Wushwang will be opened for Lao Su. Whitebeard's face sank, and his silver teeth gnawed. The huge and heavy Naginata seemed as light as a feather in his hand, and it danced like a windmill. Obviously, Whitebeard's swordsmanship is also very good. It was amazing, it had already reached the point of ingeniousness, and at the same time, a domineering and oppressive aura erupted from Whitebeard's body, like a storm, following the rotation of the Naginata, and raging like a tornado. Original book, Whitebeard's body can't support him using Conqueror Haki many times. After all, he is not fighting alone, but facing the entire Marine headquarters alone. He knows very well that if he falls, as a leader, Whitebeard will definitely be given to him. The pirate group brought a huge blow, plus the attack of the Dark Wound and the sneak attack, and because of his health, he didn't dare to use the Conqueror at all. Haki, After all, the power of Conqueror Haki is so domineering. Sajochi not only consumes his physical strength, but also his spirit. But things are different now. Not only has Whitebeard regained his peak, his strength has improved greatly, but he is now dueling. He has no worries at all, and there is no obstacle to restrain him. It can be said that such Whitebeard is the most terrifying. Conqueror Haki doesn't seem to want money. It seems to keep bombing out. Haki, does slashing still have the ability to shake the fruit? I'm never afraid of anyone compared to Haki. A violent light suddenly flashed in Lu Chengkong's eyes. His strongest demon Rokushiki and the demon Emperor Haki were too long. Not used anymore, and it's time to make them shine again. Was it unparalleled? Then let me break your unparalleled, the devil's profound meaning, the devil's order. Lu Chengkong smashed his hands directly into the space in front of him, and at the same time, the devil's color Haki erupted like a tornado, not to be outdone. Come out. It is also a shock wave that is as dark as ink and astigmatism like the 6 magic spears, but this time the demon order obviously contains the Haki of the demon emperor. The power of the two combined is not comparable to the 6 magic spears. Click. Even at such a distance, Red Hair, Garp and others could still hear clearly, and the crisp and pleasant cracking sound resounded continuously. It's really amazing. The cooperation between physical skills and Haki has reached such a terrifying level. Lucci, Kaku and other CP9 people rely entirely on physical skills and stick to their lives. When they see Lu Chengkong's demonic profound meaning, they are very impressed. It's really amazing. It seems that he has always been ahead of everyone from before to now.